Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Chud Watch. I hope you had a wonderful day yesterday. I was taking a day off. It was nice. Baja Blast. Pampered me. Did my toenails. They look nice. Although you can't see them because they're on my feet. And I don't want people putting stuff on a WikiFeet account for me. I don't need a WikiFeet page. That's the last thing I need in my life. Anyway, welcome everybody to another episode of Chud Watch. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are. We're a little later than normal today. Normally we start at 4 or 4:30, but today we had to take Lupine to the vet. Some people asked on Twitter, like, is she alright? She's doing fine. Everything's alright. It's just a follow-up visit from her visit a couple weeks back when we were dealing with the eye thing. If you're wondering, Lupine, our kitty, is doing very well. She's hanging out with us all the time. She's doing really well. And she seems in better shape health-wise than she was a while ago. We demand feet? No. I'm not Alex. Alex from our D&D game who promised people feet pics, which I think he still hasn't given. Alex, I know you don't watch this stream, but out into the universe, I'm gonna put, where are the feet pics, Alex? Give us your bird feet. Pseudosapien, thank you for hosting. Go and check out Pseudosapien's channel. She also streams. And then a Colston with 25 bits. Watch Elon's Neuralink event that just started. He was over 40 minutes late. He's always late for those things. Autonomy Day a year or so ago when they said they were like, we're gonna have 1 million robo-taxis on the road last year. He was also about 40 minutes late for that. TOS, yeah. I'd imagine feet are probably TOS depending on the context. Just because, of course, some people are into it. Which, hey, I'm not here to kink shame. I just don't want a WikiFeet page. And that's my choice. How many bits to get Hannah to show her feet? 100,000 bits. You need to send me 100,000 bits and I'll post feet pics to WikiFeet myself. No, it'd probably need to be more than that. I'm gonna say 1 million. Give me 1 million bits. And I'll post my feet to WikiFeet. And I'll take requests. What do people want to put on feet? You want me to put whipped cream on the feet? 1 million bits. You want me to what do people who are into feet do? I have no idea. I'll take requests. 1 million bits. And you get 10 feet pics. And you get to vote on what the pics are of the feet. Goth Geek Gaming, thank you for hosting this nightmare of a stream. Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. Oh my god. Am I here for the start of the stream? Yes, you are. Welcome. Some would absolutely do that just for the meme. Hey, if people want to give me that much money for a meme, more power to them. Yes, please. Yes, give me $10,000 to take 10 pictures of my feet. And clearly I'm the loser there. If that's a meme, consider me the meme master. Don't they step on food? They did in the King of the Hill episode where Peggy got into the feet sex worker business without realizing. You sent a pic of one toenail? Oh boy. Let me take a look at this picture. Let me judge if I could show this on stream. I don't know, man. That's almost like, that's such a zoomed in picture of a toe. I feel like someone's into that. I'm not risking that one. Someone would make, if I showed this on stream, someone would literally take a screenshot of this, even though this isn't even a full screen thing. I'm in this box, and I'd be showing you on a little camera, so it'd be even less. I'm telling you, someone would take a screenshot and zoom in and make like a 140p blown up image just so I have a WikiFeet page. Show them the color? No! It's part of my toe! I'm not gonna cave into these deviants. Anyway, I also had my first appointment with a new voice person today. There was a short period of time where I was doing voice training with someone for free. And then me, being an awful human being, ended up ghosting on them because I'm awkward and can't deal with myself or other people. So anyway, now I'm paying someone for voice training, so hopefully that'll go well. What's the color? I can describe the feet. I can describe the toe. Alright, this only shows the nail. You couldn't zoom in any more on this. It's like a certain color, and then there's like a triangle of a different color. So it looks like an abstract painting. But it's just the nail zoomed in very, very close. So there you go. With all this feet stuff, TERFs can't tell you. You don't know what it's like to be objectified as a woman. I don't know if I've been objectified that bad. Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. Coming soon, 2021. Hannah and Jake. Calendar of Corn Man. Jake and Hannah's feet. Just show us a bottle of nail polish? That would make sense. They're in the other room, though. Anyway, let's switch over to this other camera. Noise. So we have a bunch of stuff to look at today. What do we got? We have one angry gamer who's mad that there's a children's show coming out about a trans girl who's like in middle school or early high school or something. It's a show from the UK. I don't know how their primary schooling system is like divided up, if at all. But like if she was from the US, it looks like she's middle school aged, maybe early middle school. And one angry gamer claims that this promotes child grooming, even though it's, you know, a show about just a trans girl going to school. It's like any other kid's show. The character just happens to be trans. What did the CIA pay you to put abstract art on your feet? I wish. That'd be nice. Baja Blast says, I objectify you all the time. I'm gonna objectify you even more tonight. True. You don't want to be objectified like a woman. People try to pull your shirt down to see if you're stuffing your bra. Ugh. What else do we have? Elliot Hulse has returned. He has 2 new videos. We're gonna watch one of them. This one is, Stop Meditating. I guess he's real mad about people who are meditating. Have I seen the One Angry Gamer article about Owl House? The one about pronouns? Yeah, I watched that. Or I read that. We have John Doyle talking about the new Netflix movie, or is it HBO Max original? HBO Max, Unpregnant. I saw the trailer for this. It looks kind of funny. It's like a road trip movie about two women, young women, who have to like go across like state borders to get an abortion. And he's mad at that, of course, because he thinks abortion is murder, even though it isn't. Speaking of which, I have a debate on Sunday about abortion, if you want to go check it out. It's on the channel that does all the debates. Why am I forgetting? Modern Day Debates. That's what it's on. Why is it always about trans women? Nothing is ever about trans men. True. Trans men erasure. Don't know why. Maybe because it gets in the way of the narrative that trans women are predators. Because, like, what would trans men be in that narrative, you know? Just on YouTube? Will you Twitch it? Probably not. It's just going to be on YouTube on Modern Day Debates. I might clip it later and put it on my YouTube channel, but... They don't like HBO Max because Gone with the Wind got banned. If abortion is murder and cop killing is justified, would pro-lifers support cops administrating abortions? It's a good question. If John Doyle hates abortion, does that mean he's also for everything that helps to lower abortion rates, like birth control and sex ed? No, of course not. Because they're idiots. We also have Better Bachelor. We have Tate Speech, who made a video about... I spent $500,000 in 12 hours, and this is him, of course, claiming he bought another Lamborghini, even though the other day we looked at him and his net worth is like $5 million or less, meaning if he spent $500,000 on a car, he's an idiot. He basically would be spending 10% of his entire net worth on a vehicle, which is an awful idea. Kenosha? Oh, God. I don't have anything to say about that. I think we're all on the same page, right? I think we're all on the same page on that here. Why would you spend $500,000 in a single day that didn't involve charity? Because Tate has to compensate for his awful personality with lying about buying expensive cars. Sandman! Ben Shapiro reacting to the new DC movie trailers. I don't know if there's any interesting content in here, but I just want to see if he does the Joker laugh again. So we're gonna watch that. And then, I don't know. If we have more, you can send me stuff if you want me to cover something specific, an article or a video. Or if we run out before I'm done, then we can look at some other stuff, like, yeah, Terrence Pop or something. Missed your bit donation. Terrence Pop. If we run out of other stuff, sure, we'll go to Terrence. Anyway, what do you want me to do first? Should we start with something easy like Ben Shapiro talking about Batman? Should we talk about... Someone says Ben. Should we do One Angry Gamer? Should we do Elliot Hulse? Tate speech? Ben's winning. One of my one of my old friends defends the shooter. I'm happy I don't deal with that. Yeah, very stupid. Ridiculous. You think trans women are villainized due to popular perception of men? Boys will be boys. She was asking for it, all that bullshit, which makes people go, oh, they're pretending to be female for sinister reasons, maybe. I don't know. I think people are just weirded out by someone who is, like, has a penis, not acting, you know, masculine. I think that's the long and short of it. Ben, Angry Gamer, Tate, Ben, Blair White, Angry Gamer, Ben. Ben's winning. Ben wins. I'm calling it. Ben always wrong, Shapiro. Turn this music off. Alright. So we're starting with something probably simple today. I can't imagine this is gonna get too spicy. We have Ben Shapiro discussing the DC Fandom, which happened recently, where Warner Brothers revealed all the upcoming, like, DC movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. There were trailers for the Batman and Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League and all sorts of stuff. So let's see what Ben Shapiro has to say about Batman. Oh yeah, the quartering. We'll check out the quartering later, too.
Hello there. So, today we'll be watching some DC trailers. Producer Colton dredged these up, and now he wants you to watch me watch these trailers.
And now you're gonna watch me watch him watch those trailers. The internet is stupid.
We're gonna do that. There will be commentary, lighthearted. There will be some tears and laughter. Join us on this journey. Just know that I am already previously disposed to enjoy these. So, hopefully they will be good. We will see.
Ben Shapiro goes on an hour-long rant. Actually, did you know that Bruce Wayne is using the best of his money instead of investing in social programs for Gotham? Putting on a bat suit and punching people who are poorer than him on a nightly basis is actually going to solve crime. In fact, Ben Shapiro, my plan is to put on a bat suit and go punch the poors in the inner city. So I am the knight. I'd watch that. I'd watch that movie. I gotta pop out chat so I can see it. Where did it go? Right here. Okay. I am excited for this movie, by the way. I think the Batman looks good. This is the Riddler.
Okay, so this is dark. So this is Batman.
This does look really good. I agree. Oh, this isn't gonna be monetizable on YouTube because of the song. That's a shame, but it's fine. I'll take the hit on this one.
Okay, so I guess that's Chief Gordon now. That's good. That's good casting.
Oh, good. Thank God, Ben. I forgot about that. The guy who plays Bernard in, Westworld. I forget his name off the top of my head. I'm not very good with actor and actress names usually. He's playing Commissioner Gordon, and a lot of people on the right, not even most, I'm not gonna say, but from the, let's say, very racist side of the right, they're not very happy about the fact, Jeffrey Wright, that's his name, they're not very happy that Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon, because the fictional commissioner apparently has to be a white guy for some reason, but good for Ben. I'm glad Ben's not being a shitbag on that one.
Haven't a clue. Let's play a game. Just me and you.
That's too late. I already decoded it. It said he still lies.
Do you?
But actually, that's what it says.
Actually, Big Brain Shapiro, I fight the Riddler on a daily basis, so actually if you just use a shift cipher and move this over here, then I will put it in my bat computer, and I can decipher all the crimes. Hiya! If you want to hire me as a Ben Shapiro impersonator, I'm available for birthdays or bar mitzvahs, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, the batsuit looks good. This all looks good. I just hope he's not a vampire. That's...
What? Ben, why would anyone be a vampire? Batman's been a vampire exactly once. And it was in an Elseworlds comic. And Batman has fought Dracula, like, once. And then there's Man-Bat. But Man-Bat is not a vampire. He's a genetic experiment gone wrong by Kirk Langstrom.
Suck.
Oh, it's a Twilight joke. Oh my god. That joke's so out of date. I didn't even realize that's the joke he's making. Oh no. That joke hasn't been funny in, like, a decade. Robert Pattinson's done a ton of roles since then. A lot of them are smaller movies, but... whoo boy!
Why's he writing to you?
Okay. So far I'm into this. This is good.
I like, Selena Kyle here, who becomes Catwoman, though she's not Catwoman yet.
So far I'm into this. This is good.
Her mask here, this is good production design. This is good costume design. She's just wearing a ski mask. But it's got little things on it, like she's got cat ears. That's nice. I like that.
Is that Colin Farrell? That's great makeup. Wow.
Please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
The hell are you supposed to be?
It's Doug Walker! This guy looks exactly like Doug Walker, and I can't stop seeing it. Has anyone else noticed this?
I'm vengeance.
I wanted him in the trailer to continue on and say, I am the Knight. I'm Batman. I wanted it so bad. I like the Batmobile in this, too.
I gotta say, guys, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing here. And I like the old school Batman the old school Batmobile there. That's good stuff. And the throwback shot to Batman Begins with shooting the grappling hook to the ceiling. This is a good trailer. This is a good trailer.
It is.
I'm into it, and
I like what I get to agree with Ben. Ben's kind of a shitbag, but it is nice that we could agree on Batman.
I know people are very down on the Robert Pattinson casting. I'm not.
You're part of this too. How am I part of it? You'll see.
Also, Batman, when he takes off the mask, actually still has the black eye makeup on. Is this the first time they've done that? Because usually, Batman, in all the Batman movies, he clearly has, like, black, you know, makeup on around his eyes. Because the mask, you know, doesn't cover the entirety of it. So he puts on black makeup. But often, magically, in the movies, when he takes off the mask, the makeup's gone. But here it's like, oh no, he's got the makeup that he wears when he's Batman. Okay.
He's a good actor, so honestly, like, I know people are still down on the whole Twilight of it, but he's been in a bunch of other stuff.
Arenas3, thanks for continuing your subscription. 4-month streak. How time flies. 4 months ago, I was coming through a breakdown, having your stream help get me through it, and now I think I can hear an egg cracking, which is somehow more scary. Yeah, I feel you on that one. But hey, in the end, no matter what you discover about yourself, it's good to get to know yourself. So, I'm glad I could be here and help you through this complicated time. OG Batman has the eye makeup with the mask off at one point. Okay. Okay. Was picking up a U-Haul truck. What did I miss? You're missing Ben Shapiro talking about Batman. MMO Addicted continues the subscription for 3-month streak. 3 months. And Shapiro is having a decent takes. The world is ending.
Since then, and he actually can act. It's just the Twilight sucks.
Yeah.
So,
in fairness, I think even Pattinson knows that Twilight sucks. I think he's made fun of it, which is hilarious. Like, I get it. You're a working actor. You gotta make that money somehow and get your name out there. At the end of the day, I think it's pretty clear the Twilight series didn't hurt him. He's in, you know, Batman now, so... thank you to whatever that is for following. I do not know how to read that. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Yikes.
Okay, I'm into this. Okay, I will watch that movie.
Do you think Batman is going to be as good as The Dark Knight?
No, the Batman movie's not going to reach The Dark Knight because Christopher Nolan didn't direct it. So Matt Reeves directed it, and he's done some of the other Robert Pattinson movies, I think.
Matt Reeves, I think, directed the Planet of the Apes movies, the more recent ones, and he's really great. So, I think it might actually be better than The Dark Knight. Because, how do I put this? The Dark Knight's a great movie. A lot of that rests on Heath Ledger's performance. Like, The Dark Knight's a great movie, but it's not my favorite Batman movie. Does that make sense? Like, it's a great film, but when I think Batman, I don't think the universe that's in The Dark Knight. I like the more heightened, I don't know if silly is the right word, but comic booky. You get more fantasy stuff in there. Like, I get it. You want the realistic terrorist Joker, or you want, you know, more down-to-earth Batman. But I'm more partial to comic book Batman, where he's fighting, like, giant killer Croc, who's, like, way too big to be a human being when he's fighting people with the Justice League. I like that version of Batman, and I like that universe more. I think it's fine to have your first movie start with that stuff, and him just fighting, like, the mob. And then, what I really want is a trilogy where you start with Batman kind of fighting the mob, then it escalates to where he's fighting, like, a supervillain who's still just like him. Like, maybe the Joker, he's chemical burned or whatever, but he's still just a human being. And then by the third movie, he fights something that's just, like, paranormal or alien or something, and then he gets, like, he starts forming the Justice League or something. Basically, that escalation of Batman being a guy who starts fighting street crime and hones his skills to the point that he can fight, like, literal aliens and gods. I like that about Batman, but, you know.
So he's got this kind of dark sensibility, but he ain't Nolan. I think it'll be kind of gritty, but that's what Batman is meant to be. That's fine. I mean, frankly, I thought Ben Affleck as Batman was fine, particularly in Batman vs. Superman.
Like in the original Batman movies, let's see, he fights the Joker in the first one. In the second one, he fights Penguin, which you could argue is maybe a little bit of an escalation because the Joker's just a random mobster, whereas the Penguin becomes a big socialite, and he's, like, weird. I don't know if Catwoman's really supernatural, because she's just kind of crazy in that movie. Then in the third one, he fights the Riddler and Two-Face. And then in the fourth one, he fights Mr. Freeze. I guess you're not wrong. I guess that is kind of the trajectory, because by the fourth one, Mr. Freeze is using sci-fi technology, but I don't know. At Colston with 20 bits, back from the Elon stream, all Elon did was show that they could read a pig's brainwaves, which we have been able to do for decades. Even the Elon fanboys aren't impressed. Good. I'm not saying someday we won't put stuff in our brain to interface with technology, but, like, I don't trust Tesla to do it. I don't trust Elon Musk to do it. Penguin to Two-Face to Court of Owls. Yeah, Court of Owls is a good one to get into because it involves supernatural stuff and bringing, like, people back from the dead, sort of. Daddy Sume with 50 bits. Hey, Hannah, have fun with your chuds. I gotta sleep. Chat is loved and valid. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. Elon Musk wants to run Skynet. I think he does. I really think he does. Although he says he doesn't like AI because he's seen too many Terminator movies, so.
Superman. I thought that he was actually quite good in Batman vs. Superman. Like, Justice League sucked, but Batman vs. Superman, he plays like Frank Miller's Batman who enjoys beating the crap out of people. Like from Batman.
Oh no, did Ben Shapiro like Batman v Superman? I don't necessarily hate Ben Affleck's. I hope he's just saying he doesn't hate Ben Affleck's version of Batman. That's fine to an extent. I'm not a big fan of the whole, if there's even a 1% chance. I don't like that in Batman, although it kind of makes sense for the character. I get it, Batman can be pretty paranoid, but I don't know. Batman vs. Superman's kind of one of the worst blockbuster movies I've ever seen. Like, I honestly can't believe a big studio allowed that to, like, go out into the public in the state it was in. So, I hope he's just talking about Affleck himself, who's fine as Batman. He's okay. ICA Phoenix says, I feel like Musk is the type of guy to put DLC and microtransactions into our eventual cyborg immortality. Yep. A pig's brain wavelength? I thought we weren't talking about Kenosha. Arcanus Amber Blackwell. The Batman Nolan trilogy screeched and burned for me when it got to Bane and tried to talk about class issues, yeah. That's why the series itself doesn't do it for me, because, like, Batman Begins is okay, and The Dark Knight Rises is okay. Only The Dark Knight is, like, a really, really good movie, and it's almost entirely based upon one person's performance. And that's it.
Robin All-Stars. So I'm kind of into, like, actually the best thing in that Batman trailer
for DLC
is that
for my own
little
brain.
cutaway where he's beating the hell out of the criminal, and then he actually stops and then continues beating the hell out of the criminal, because that is very kind of in the mode of Batman. So, okay, now we shall do Wonder Woman. We'll see if the movie's actually about Chris Pine again.
What? Wait, does Ben Shapiro think the first Wonder Woman movie was about Chris Pine? He's like the love interest in that movie. What? That's called College?
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do. Your time will come, Diana. And everything will be different.
The Ender 92 with 50
Miguel
bits.
Gadot person. Okay?
I've been
I'm married to an
playing
Israeli.
Pathfinder for a while, and I can't find a game, so I'm trying to learn 5e. Any advice? Oh god, trying to learn 5e? I don't know. I found it... I really can't tell you, because I've only ever played 5e. I found it pretty intuitive once I got the hang of it. There's still stuff I forget, because I'm just kind of a scatterbrain, but... I don't know. I don't know.
I'm here to change your life. Anything you want. Anything you dream of, you can have it.
You look like you saw a ghost. Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
Well, I mean, same. Hasn't he been dead for 50 years in the movie?
Yeah, Ben, if you were watching the trailer that you're watching, the guy before that, who's the villain or something, says, like, anything you want, it's gonna come true. Presumably she wants him to come back to life, so he does. I assume it's not actually him. It's probably some thing that the villain is using to trick people, or it's like a magic thing. Either way, by the end of the movie, he'll be dead again. No Catwoman will ever top Batman Returns Catwoman. Maybe. Maybe. Cats 2, the cheetah.
Like 80 years, right? First one's World War I.
Ex-predator. You've always had everything.
I always like in movies, by the way, when
He's beating the hell out of the criminal, because that
citizens of the world.
I was like in movies when people walk around like the Washington Monument or the Lincoln Memorial in the middle of the night and there's just no one there. And I'm not going to pretend I have a ton of experience being in Washington, D.C., but when I have been there, it seems like there's people around all the time. It's like a public area. Even in the middle of the night, you're going to have some people, like, there.
You look like you saw a ghost. Diana, look at you. It's like not one day has passed.
Well, I mean, same. Hasn't he been dead for 50 years in the movie? Like 80 years, right? First one's World War I.
Ex-predator.
Even if he was thinking about World War II, Ben, 50 years ago was like the 70s. That's not even World War II. It's weird to me that Ben, when he thinks 50 years ago, thinks it's like one of the world wars. I think he's not entirely clear on when things have happened.
You've always had everything, while people like me have had nothing. Well, now it's my turn.
Oh, good. She's a villain and she's a communist. Excellent.
Get used to it.
Wait, what? When did it say she was a communist? What are you talking about, Ben? She's Cheetah.
I've never been one for rules. The answer is always more.
See, this also looks good. You should have shown me a Marvel trailer if you want me to hate watch something.
Oh god, Ben doesn't like Marvel. Ben, why don't you like the Marvel movies? I'm very curious.
I have to tell you.
What?
Radar.
Will they shoot at us?
Oh yeah, she turned into the weird cheetah. Yeah.
Barbara, what did you do?
It's not a great.
I really don't like Wonder Woman's suit at the end. I imagine it has... I'm not very familiar with DC Comics. I'm more familiar with Marvel Comics. The only, like, DC Comics I've read are the Scott Snyder Batman run, and not even all of it. I don't know anything about Cheetah. I don't really know about Wonder Woman in the comics. I assume there's some comic basis for Wonder Woman's suit there that's like all golden and it has wings, but it just reminds me of Hawk Girl. Like, it just makes me think of Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman.
Look for her.
You know, I'm not so keen on this.
Oh, you're right. It does take place in 1984. That's my fuck up. Sorry, Ben. That's on me.
This one I figure you are, but you know what? I'm ready to go.
I think we can do better.
Parachute pants?
Yeah,
Does everybody parachute now?
Because, see, like, he's laughing at this, and he's like, I don't like Marvel movies. And a lot of people's criticism of Marvel movies, which is a valid criticism if you don't like it, is how jokey they are. And that's like a joke right out of a Marvel movie, so I don't know what Ben doesn't like about the Marvel movies if it's not the humor.
Well, Chris Pine's still the best thing in the movie, it looks like.
What did you think about the previous Wonder Woman movie?
I liked the previous Wonder Woman movie. I gave it a good review. I didn't think it was like the most important film of all time. The reviewers were like, well, it's directed by a woman. It's Patty Jenkins, and therefore it is on par with Citizen Kane. And also, it is a deeply important movie that needs to be historically remembered. I was like,
I think they're saying that it's important in the sense that it's directed by a woman and it's a big female, like, superhero movie led by a woman. Which isn't a thing, I don't think, before Wonder Woman. Like, Elektra was a movie, but that sucked and no one saw it. I'm trying to think, were there any female-led superhero movies that were also directed by a woman prior to Wonder Woman? I think no. Like, you don't have to think that a movie's the best movie ever made for it to be important. Like, you can look at he brought up Citizen Kane. A lot of people, if they watched Citizen Kane, would hate it today. But that's not why Citizen Kane is, like, significant. Citizen Kane is significant specifically because it pioneered so many techniques, so many styles of editing and shooting and lighting, all sorts of different things were created just for that movie. So that's what makes it significant. The significance historically of a film is not necessarily the quality of the film. And I know that's weird to say, but it's true. Films can be historically significant for a myriad of reasons, up to and including that it's like, oh, look at Black Panther, a big, giant studio blockbuster movie that's starring mostly, like, African-American people or people of color, and also directed by, like, Ryan Coogler. That makes it significant, even though Black Panther's just, like, it's like a really good Marvel movie, but it's just, you know, another Marvel movie. But that's almost what makes it significant. The fact that it's just another Marvel movie, but it's one that represents people that aren't normally represented in these kind of giant blockbuster movies. Antipodian Squid with 50 bits. I wish I hadn't seen Elektra. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Seshimaru with 50 bits. I think there were only 8 female-led blockbuster superhero movies before Wonder Woman, and most of them were directed by men. Let me look at the history of female-led superhero movies. Many of them sucked as well, like Superwoman. Oh, I forgot about Catwoman! I forgot about Catwoman. So Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel came out after Wonder Woman, and I think was better than Wonder Woman. Fight me. Catwoman was awful. Was that directed by a dude? Or written by a dude? Let me see. Screenplay by Michael Ferris, John Brancato, and John Rogers. Wow, 3 men wrote Catwoman. No wonder that movie's awful. For those of you who haven't seen Catwoman, Catwoman is a movie about Halle Berry being Catwoman in a world with no Batman, as far as I know. There's no Batman in the movie. She's just Catwoman. Doesn't live in Gotham. And the villain of the movie, I kid you not, is an evil makeup CEO who is tricking women into using makeup that will, if they stop using it, it will burn their face. But if they keep using it, it'll make their skin indestructible like marble. It's incredibly stupid. Awful movie. So anyway, that was made by dudes. Supergirl sucked real bad. Elektra, Supergirl, directed by Janot Svark. I'm not sure who that is. Yep, directed by a dude. Elektra, directed by a dude. So I think Wonder Woman was the first, like, superhero movie. Wonder Woman was the first superhero movie to have, like, credits of starring, you know, the lead is a woman, the director's a woman, the writer's a woman. And that's why it's significant, regardless of how you feel about it. Although it's a pretty good movie. It's not great. It's not amazing. But it's pretty good. Especially compared to the other Warner Brothers movies. If it didn't fail, they probably made Benjamin Bratt Batman. Benjamin Bratt. If they didn't fail, they probably made Benjamin Bratt Batman. Benjamin Bratt. Oh, he was the guy in Catwoman. He would have been... Okay. Anyway.
Like, well, no, it's good. Like, it's fine. Can I just enjoy a movie without having to hear about how it's deeply historic on every possible level because it's the first...
Oh god, Ben, you're acting like in the movie theater someone's literally tapping you on the shoulder and going, "Did you know that this is a historically significant film?" Ben, stop. No one is forcing that down your throat. People are just going to be like, "Hey, guys, did you know that in the over 100 years of cinema history, there's never been a movie this big that's starring, written, and directed by women? Isn't that weird?" So shut up, Ben. Thanks.
First female superhero, which it's not, or the first female director, which it's not. Like,
Ben, did you not see the point where people were saying, like, it's the first female-led superhero movie written and directed by a woman? Is that not clear to you that it's the and?
Everything is historic, but it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a better
Shapiro, everything is historic. Galaxy
alternative
brain.
ending to the first Wonder Woman. My better alternative ending to the first Wonder Woman was that the bad guy is supposed to be Eric Ludendorff. Okay, what people don't recall is that Ludendorff was actually the figure that the Nazis originally chose to unite behind in the beer hall putsch. And so what could have been like a really fascinating takeaway is if she, out of some bizarre sense of mercy, had let Ludendorff live, and then and then that would have explained why she disappears for so long, right? Because she didn't take out Ludendorff, that actually leads to the rise of Hitler. And so she feels shame at that, and then she disappears. Because that's the big question, is why she disappears between World War I and 1984, which I'm sure they're going to explain with some sort of time travel thing, or she was frozen, or like something. They're going to have to explain it away. But it would have actually made
Do you even remember the end of the first Wonder Woman? She's going to disappear for however many years because, A, her love interest died, which is questionable, I think, in terms of writing, like a strong female character, like, oh, my love interest died. I better not be active for another however many decades. And then on top of that, the lesson she learned at the end of Wonder Woman was that, like, it wasn't some supervillain creating World War I like she thought it was. That may have been a part of it, but at the end of the day, human beings create, like, their own problems. Anyway.
Made some sense if it had been that she blew it so badly at the end of World War I by letting the guy go that it led to World War II. Like, that would have been, like, a really kind of interesting takeaway. So that was my alternative ending there.
Do you think these movies will make it to theaters?
When are they I mean, they haven't even set a release date on this stuff, right? They say 2021. So by 2021, this will be in theaters, for sure. I mean, I think that, frankly, as soon as this is... I mean, that's currently in production, right? They've got the trailer going. So...
I think it was supposed to come out in November originally, but now they pushed it.
You assume that they'll probably bring it out, what, summer 2021 sometime? So yeah, I think that by 2021...
Hopefully by then we'll have some sort of vaccine. That'd be great. Did he just say she should have had a chance to kill Hitler and then let him go? No, she was talking about a different guy who was in the movie, who was an inspiration, who was like part of early Nazi movements before Hitler even got on board, I think.
And they didn't put a date on Wonder Woman here. By mid-2021, first of all, I think that this thing may be over in major cities like New York and New Jersey already. I mean, we're still waiting to see whether there's an uptick. They haven't fully opened up, but in Sweden, they let this burn through, and now they're pretty much done. And that seems like the pattern. When we talk about COVID, as I've been saying, when people say there's a second wave, there's no second wave. There's just a first wave in counties that didn't have it. In northern Italy, there was a first wave, and then southern Italy didn't get it, and now southern Italy is getting it. In Spain, Madrid got it, and now the other areas of Spain are getting it. In the United States, most of the South didn't get it, then the South got it. Illinois, lockdown, they prevented themselves from getting it, and now Illinois is getting it. So in other words, once it moves through the community, I think it kind of...
Ben, the reason for the lockdowns was as to not overwhelm the medical industry, as to not have hospitals overfilling with people. Do you not understand the entire purpose of flattening the curve? It wasn't to extinguish the virus. It was to A, give time for treatments to be developed, and B, so hospitals don't get overrun to the extent that it creates higher mortality rates because people can't get treatment because the hospitals are full.
kind of moves through the community, and all you can do is sort of protect the vulnerable and allow people to protect themselves and go to work. So I think that by next year, vaccine or no vaccine, I think theaters will be back open, and I'm going to go see these movies in the theater. I mean, I'm under 40. I'm in good health, and frankly, I think that this thing is going to have burned itself out mostly by next year.
The conservatives were saying this, like, at the beginning of the year and saying, like, oh, by April, it'll burn itself out. Oh, by July, it'll burn itself out. Oh, by September, it'll burn itself out. They've been saying this the entire way, and they haven't been right once. And then finally, eventually, they might be right. And they'll be like, see, we told you! And it's like, well, you were wrong 10 times saying the same thing, so...
I told you beforehand, like, I'm a DC guy, so I will watch both of those movies.
Honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense that he's a DC guy. Ben and I apparently can't agree on literally anything. I'm a Marvel person. I like Marvel. You know why I like Marvel over DC? And I think I've explained this before, but I think it's worth bringing up again just because I find it interesting. DC, all their characters more or less feel like they belong in the same universe. Batman and Superman are fundamentally different characters, but it makes sense to me that they live in the same world, right? You have an alien from outer space, and you have a rich guy with dresses like a bat and beats up criminals. And even like Wonder Woman and stuff, I don't know why. They all feel like they fit in the same universe to me. Whereas you go over to the Marvel stuff, and it feels like such a weird conglomeration of so many genres. Like, Iron Man, 1950s, 1960s Playboy billionaire as a superhero. The Hulk, 1950s era nuclear monster. Doctor Strange, psychedelic 70s wizard guy. You have Captain America, a World War II propaganda character come to life. You have, oh boy, who else am I missing? You have secret agents like Nick Fury or Hawkeye or Black Widow. Like, it just feels like the heroes are, like, from more varying genres. And then you have stuff like Blade. Blade, who's a vampire hunter, exists in the Marvel Universe. Thor, a Norse god. Punisher, yep, a guy who just shoots people with his guns. Like, it's just such a mishmash of so many different, like, cool genre fiction all smashed into one universe, and I like that about it. You have Fantastic Four, which aren't in the MCU yet, but they're like, you know, prototypical 60s family trying to, like, do science and go on adventures together. Ghost Rider, yeah, demon guy who goes with a flaming motorcycle. That's why I like Marvel. Also, I like the humanization of the characters. DC does better at that, you know, than they ever have, but, like, Marvel, I think, nails down, like, these are human characters with flaws, and it's a lot of fun. Whereas DC tends to be like, this is Superman! He's ideal! Of course, there have been comics that go into it more so and sort of explain the inner workings of, like, Clark Kent's brain and how he feels about being Superman. Like, obviously, those things are things that happen now, but I don't know. You get more the idealization of heroes in DC, and I'm not a big fan of that.
And enjoy them. And Jeff Johns is doing an excellent job with the direction of the DC universe. And also, I'm excited to watch the Snyder Cut.
No, Ben. No.
Because Joss Whedon sucks.
I think it's going to surprise people.
Okay.
The Snyder movies attempt to humanize Superman, but they do so by turning him to, like, an Ayn Rand objectivist, which is the opposite of humanizing someone to me. Like, it turns him into, like, a libertarian whose his mom's like, you don't owe the world anything. Meanwhile, Uncle Ben's in the corner shooting himself in the head. That's how I like Spider-Man, eh? With great power comes great responsibility. Meanwhile, Ma Kent in the corner going, no, you don't owe anyone anything! You let that burglar go, Peter! I just hate it. I hate that.
Hey, Joel Kinnaman, that's good.
You kind of sit there and go, how did they...
Oh, this Suicide Squad movie looks fun. The first one was awful, but this one has, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn. James Gunn's directing and writing this one, so it'll probably be fun. And Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, is in the Suicide Squad in this one, which will be fun.
Dude.
Oh, I like Idris Elba. That's good stuff.
It's going to be different from any superhero movie ever made.
That's a person I don't know. Okay.
There's no one better in the world to direct the Suicide Squad than James Gunn.
Oh, that's right, James Gunn. Okay, I saved this guy's career, so okay, fine. I accidentally...
Wait, is Ben Shapiro taking credit for saving James Gunn's career? What? Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. My favorite thought about Superman of all time is that he was designed to be the ideal American, but also he's from space. Yeah.
Accidentally ended it and then defended him. So,
Ben, do you think Disney hired him back because of you? That's the most insane narcissistic fantasy I've ever heard. What?
Completely unique.
A person who doesn't like me, but I defended him anyway, as per our usual arrangement.
combined with...
Yeah, James Gunn's good. He's a good director for this, so this is good.
You need your director to set the vibe.
The Suicide Squad is just a twisted fantasy of characters.
Okay, this looks fun. This does look significantly better. And this is sort of James Gunn's specialty, right? It's sort of the eclectic group movie. So,
douchey Captain America.
The guy who believes...
And John
Who's Capaldi playing? Oh, he's got electrodes all in his head. I think he's called, like, Mastermind or something. He's like a super genius.
Okay. This will be
a little
fun.
bit of typecasting from Doctor Who to this, but...
Just
the
realize,
Thinker,
guys, that
that's his name.
People tried to cancel James Gunn for the great crime of having old, stupid tweets.
Ben, do you know who tried to cancel James Gunn? It wasn't people on the left. It was people on the right who were like, we don't like James Gunn. He's on the left. So let's go dig up his tweets and show him to Disney so we can get him canceled. Conservatives did that, Ben. It was not people on the left, you idiot.
That's our stupid world. Also, if you're a conservative, he still wouldn't be working, is the way that works.
Everyone's exploding. Genitals, heads, arms, legs.
What now? Okay, I could go without the exploding genitals. And no, I'm not going to do a verse from WAP here.
The biggest movie I've ever made.
I don't think that you know what to expect.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'm up for this. Again, I feel like the DC universe has really recovered itself here. I feel like that Marvel has kind of played out, right? Have we reached the end of Marvel? I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is gone, and so is Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, she still has Black Widow coming out, but we also have Brie Larson, and I know a bunch of people who are like the quartering fans are gonna be like, Brie Larson, no one likes Brie Larson. Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. People like Brie Larson, whether you like her or not. We have Doctor Strange, which was very successful. We have Black Panther, which is one of the biggest superhero movies of all time. We have Spider-Man. There's tons of characters in Marvel. Don't get me wrong, the superhero thing is going to get played out, and I totally get that. It's going to happen eventually, but it's not because the movies started sucking all of a sudden. MMO addicted with 100 bits. I mean, Superman is technically an illegal immigrant with forged papers and identity. True. Shylock with 100 bits. Oh no, are we watching Ben Shapiro talking about movie trailers? This can't have been good so far. Milfs at Taco Bell. Thank you for continuing your subscription. 3-month streak. We're at 50% of the level 1 hype train. Nice.
And so is Chris Evans. I thought he was always overrated, but he's gone. So what exactly does the Marvel Universe have left at this point?
I'm guessing he doesn't like Chris Evans because Chris Evans is Captain America, but he's also, like, a liberal. So I imagine that doesn't jive well with Ben, even though Captain America in the comics has always not been one to toe the line politically. He's certainly one who stands up for the rights of others when they're being infringed upon. He literally stopped being Captain America after the Nixon thing, after Watergate, although in the comics it was like an allegory for Watergate, but it was right after it happened in the real world, and it was very clear it was Watergate. He became Nomad, the man without a country. Nomad has the most amazing superhero costume of all time. Nomad, the man without a country. Let me show you Steve Rogers as as Nomad. Woo! Ooh boy, that was I don't know who decided this would be Cap's new look as Nomad, but interesting choice. That is the deepest V. That's a V that goes all the way down to his waist. Dr. Gamble with 100 bits, yes. Just yes. Agree. Bring this to the MCU ASAP. Yeah. I think, and here's the thing. When Captain America ripped the star off his chest... Hold on. Nomad. Infinity War... This was the concept art for what Captain America was going to be wearing in Infinity War, and it's Nomad. It's see, in the middle, there's like a V down to the waist the same way, but it's just a pattern instead of the silly, you know, no clothing. I wish they'd done this, because this is Nomad. It's perfect. It's like the perfect nomad outfit. It would have been a nice nod to the silly comic thing. But, whatever. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They ended up doing this instead, and they just had him have the star ripped off, which is fine. It works. You get it. But, regardless, did Cap become a sovereign citizen? I think so. Tatsuyo Dragneel with 5 bits. Oh, that was, you already said it. Thank you. 57% of the level 1 hype train.
And I feel like DC is going to have a next... The next 5 years of DC, I feel like, will be more successful than the next 5 years of Marvel. Because they concluded it in the wildly overrated Avengers. So...
Ben Shapiro, who liked Batman v Superman and is excited for the Snyder Cut, thinks Avengers is overrated. Hoo boy!
Thank you for watching this bizarre video of me watching DC stuff. And hopefully, next time, we can watch a video of me watching something, of people watching something, like an infinite regress of
Ben,
watching.
Watch me watching you watching this!
We'll see you here next time.
Yes!
Did you know that every like on this video creates one...
Oh boy. I don't know why we spent a whole hour on that. I really didn't expect to. I thought that'd be a quick 20-minute thing, but hey, we spent a whole hour. Only 30 seconds left in the hype train. But, like... I don't know, Ben. That was fun, though. It was fun. Jake and Alex and I don't know if Sarah is going to be involved, and Baha, if she's still hanging out here when that happens. We're going to watch the Snyder Cut. It's going to be real bad. Shylock with 100 bits. Ugh, Ben would love Batman v Superman, yeah. Antipodian Squid with 1,000 bits. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jesus, it's been an hour, I know. Right? Cannot wait for him to see a gay character in the DC universe and change his mind completely. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong there. MW1642 with 300 bits. Thank you. Level 1 complete. Sweet! I'll get a hat here in a second. Let me see what we're going to watch next. Probably reading this Angry Gamer article.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
So one angry gamer is mad that the BBC is making a children's drama kids series that's about a trans girl who is going through school. I believe she's being played by a real-life trans girl, as far as I know. And boy, is one angry gamer and TERFs on the internet super-duper mad about it. TERFs, general transphobes, basically anyone who wants to invalidate the fact that some people are trans. Cherry Tree Boy with 100 bits for the train, baby. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, this article says, BBC's First Day promotes child grooming trans propaganda. Let me be clear about this before we even start the article. Nowhere in this show, in the trailer, is child grooming mentioned. Is it a topic? Is it a theme? This is a show just about a young trans individual trying to navigate their life. That's it, right? But of course, it involves trans people. So, one angry gamer thinks it's child grooming just because trans. Yeah, bad. Anyway, BBC is continuing to promote caustic, society-disrupting ideologies, especially those of a perverse nature. Loaded sentence. Much like Netflix and how they're promoting child transgenderism with shows like The Babysitter's Club, that Netflix is making a remake of The Babysitter's Club, and one of the kids that gets babysat is a trans individual. For those of you who don't know, that's what's being referenced there. The BBC is gung-ho in depicting, oh god, in depicting, quote, pederasty and child grooming whenever and wherever possible, which includes their new show First Day. Why does one angry gamer jump to sex the second
There's nothing funny about the tools
trans individuals get mentioned? I don't know. It's very strange. It makes no sense. It's literally a show, like any show about a it's like a coming-of-age TV show. It looks like every episode, the child character is going to be in some dilemma involving their life at school and interacting with their peers, and then they're going to learn a lesson. You've seen tons of shows like this. Clarissa Explains It All, basically every Nickelodeon show. Like, it's just a thing. Lizzie McGuire, you know, all sorts of shows. It just so happens that this show is about a trans individual. Antipodian Squid with 200 bits. Speaking of transphobes being super mad about things, did you see J.K. Rowling gave back a Human Rights Award for social change because because she disagrees with the Foundation on Trans Rights? Jesus. J.K. cannot sink any lower. I'm telling ya. I say that, but watch, in a week she'll do something even stupider. The live-action show is about a 12-year-old... He says, I am not saying this, is about a 12-year-old boy who is being told by his parents that he's a little girl. No! None of that sentence is true. This show is about a young trans woman. That's it. None of what you just said is true. The show attempts to normalize child abuse and grooming young kids into gender transitioning. You can see the trailer below. We're going to watch the trailer. Obviously, none of this involves grooming children. None of this involves child abuse. Literally, if your kid is trans and you're refusing to allow them to at least get on blockers, you are abusing that child. You are not abusing your child if they're trans, and you're getting them where they want to go in terms of their identity. Here's the video. I'm going to send you guys a link to this, because boy oh boy have the transphobes completely screwed up the ratio on this. So if every single person from this stream went and gave this like an upvote on the YouTube channel, it would help a lot, because boy oh boy are transphobes mad that trans kids are being represented in a TV show. Link is in the chat. Check it out. Thanks for the hype train, everyone. Appreciate it.
First day of school is always a difficult time in life, but for Hannah, things are a little bit different.
Her name's even Hannah!
Follow her journey meeting new friends.
Do you know where the new kids are supposed to go?
Overcoming difficult obstacles.
Hi there, Tommy boy. Don't call me that. I just want to be treated like everyone else.
And discovering who she really is. And that being yourself is the most important thing you can be.
I want to tell her that I'm trans.
Brand new First Day. Wednesdays at 5 on CBBC and BBC.
Like, it just looks like a cute show, like a kid show that's dealing with the struggles of trans kids. It's great. I would have loved this show when I was a kid. Like I said, link is in the chat. If you liked that trailer, go like it to make the transphobes mad. This is not a good sign for the future of humanity. Especially children going through puberty who will end up being forced to transition by corrupt doctors and abusive parents. No child is being forced to transition. Quite the opposite. There are tons of trans kids who aren't allowed to take steps because their parents don't believe them. Are you serious? I can think of literally one example of a time when someone has been forced to transition, and it wasn't about the kid being trans. It was about an insane psychiatrist trying to prove a crackpot hypothesis, where they basically, when the child was a infant, performed a sex reassignment operation on them and wanted to see what would happen. Like, it's just incredibly messed up. That happened once. And it is, like, held up as, like, one of the worst ethical violations in the history of psychiatry. Devious Chilster with 50 bits. Are you kidding me? This is the kind of show I needed when I was young, so I didn't go through my entire childhood believing I was an effing freak for liking girl things more than guy things. Yeah. The identical twin study. Yeah. It's that one. But it gets worse. The show is being promoted via YouTube Kids. Yeah, it's a kid's show. It's a show for kids. The comments have been disabled as part of the video's eligibility for YouTube Kids, thus showing that the CBBC, which is supposed to be for children, it is for children, want to indoctrinate your kids with the trans agenda. It's just showing that trans people exist, which we do. Not propaganda, unless you want to call, like, I don't know, Lizzie McGuire propaganda, or iCarly propaganda. Like, if this is propaganda, literally every show is propaganda. Quest Friendly, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub, I appreciate that. And thank you, Quest Friendly, for continuing your 4-month subscription. Nice. So for all you parents out there who are told that YouTube Kids is safe, it's not. I mean, it is. It's just, kids are, I don't know how to tell you this, guys. Kids are gonna find out that trans people exist. Because we do? And you can't shield your kids from reality. They're trying to turn your little boys into little girls and little girls into little boys. No! What people are trying to do is get idiots like you to understand that there are people who are born where their gender identity is incongruous with their sexual identity. By sexual identity, I mean, like, the junk they have, basically. And the gender identity that is prescribed to them by society based on their genitalia. That's what it is. It's pretty simple. No one's trying to force anyone to do anything. It's about the freedom of human beings to identify and present themselves in a way that makes them happy and comfortable in their own skin. It's disturbing and disgusting practice that needs to end by any means necessary. What do you mean by any means necessary? What does that mean? Nobj, thank you for subscribing. 4-month streak. Did you miss Ben? You did. That was the first hour. The Ender 92 with 100 bits. iCarly was incredibly creepy looking back. Dan the Man Schneider was a creep. This looks happy. iCarly is gross looking back. True. It's only propaganda if they find it icky. No, you existing is an agenda, and I can't deal with knowing someone like you exists. Obvious sarcasm. You don't say. Designs 23, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Never, fun fact, I discovered Wiki Feet, because as a joke once, on stream, I looked up, like, Miranda Cosgrove feet. I don't remember the context. That's how I learned Wiki Feet exists. And yes, in case you're curious, Miranda Cosgrove has a Wiki Feet page. They were all pictures of her feet as an adult, for the record, if that matters to you, which it should. Dan Schneider needs to go to jail. True. Maybe I'll go over Dan Schneider someday, because I don't know how many people know about that. The alternative is that networks, streaming services, and cable stations will continue to normalize child grooming and the LGBTQIA+ lifestyle in order to indoctrinate your children into thinking that pederasty is okay. And now he's jumping again to, like, pedophilia with absolutely no evidence of a connection between recognizing and understanding transgender individuals and that. There's no connection. VM Draco 77, thanks for following. Highly and Derp with 80 bits. I wish that I'd seen stuff like this as a kid, so I could have known that being trans was even a thing. It would have made my teenage years much less miserable. Yep. It won't be long after that they'll start pushing for legislation to legalize... Nope. Pedophilia. And there won't be anything you can do to stop it peaceably. No. Absolutely not. This is the same slippery slope argument conservatives used against gay people. It's literally the same argument. Remember in the 90s, they'd be like, what? First it's letting the gays get married, and next you're gonna be trying to legalize pedophilia. No. Nope. What do people on the right not understand about consent? Whether it's, like, about sexual encounters or about presenting yourself as who you are as a person. Consent is always key. What do they not understand? Anyway. Have you guys ever seen that quote from Bill O'Reilly? Was it Bill O'Reilly or was it Rush Limbaugh? Let me find it. Maybe it was Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh at one point said this. Oh, come on, I gotta find the bigger quote than that. So he was talking about, this is, I think, when there was the, you know, grab them by the P word conversation that got leaked from Donald Trump, and he's talking about consent. And he says, if there's consent on all or both or three or four, however many are involved in the sex act, it's perfectly fine, whatever it is. But if the left ever senses and smells that there's no consent in part of the equation, then here comes the RAPE, please. But consent is the magic key to the left. Yes! Why are you making fun of this? Literally, yes! What do you not get about consent being the key? Absolute monster. And then in 2014, Limbaugh expressed his frustrations about the definition of consent. How many of you guys in your own experience with women have learned that no means yes if you know how to spot it? So Rush Limbaugh's definitely assaulted women before, in case anyone was curious about that. I don't think anyone was really on the fence. I think we all probably assumed already, but I really don't get it. I don't understand what they don't understand about consent. It's very simple. Anyway, that's it of this annoying article. I need something to chill me out. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a Tate speech video. So remember, the other... Excuse me. What is his name? Tate MMA fighter. Nope. There's gotta be more to Tate. Gotta find him. Hold on. Tate speech. Andrew Tate. That's his name. Andrew Tate net worth. So Andrew Tate speech as we know him, claims to be this rich baller. And hey, he's certainly richer than I am. I'll give him that. But he's constantly talking like he's like has hundreds of millions of dollars. This net worth says he has $1 million, and we found up to, I think, 6 million. So he has between $1 and $6 million. This one says 5 million. Between 1 and 5. So let's say 1 and 6. He has between $1 and $6 million. But he has this scam where online he'll present himself as this huge baller, and then he cons men who are insecure into buying into his program, where he'll teach you to be a rich baller like him. Hylian Derp says, Side you just says that Tate, since you just said that Tate would chill you out, your thought processes are somehow entirely foreign to me. Well, I just find Tate to be hilarious, so. Anyway, so here's Tate talking about how he spent $500,000 in 12 hours. And again, if this is true, Tate, if you spent $500,000 on a car and your net worth is like $6 million, you're a moron. So there's a good chance this is an absolute lie. But I don't know. We'll see. Or he's making a lot of illegal money off the books that no one knows about. Which is also possible because Tate, kind of a weird guy. Wouldn't surprise me if he was into some kind of drug running operation, but, you know.
Luke, I sent you an email. There is an attachment. Emory Andrew Tate. It's the second attachment, I believe, and you need to print that out for me ASAP. It's important, Mark. Yeah. I'm allowed to buy a new Lamborghini because I'm bored. Yeah, print me the order form. I have to sign it so I can build my Lambo, brand spanking new in Italy. Built brand new for me, 0 fucking miles.
He's literally talking about ordering like a brand new Lamborghini, a $500,000 car with all the options.
What else
we saw clips of this in a video previously.
It's raining, and I'm on board. So I went on.
This is the most staged video in the history of staged videos, by the way. Why would they be filming Tate right now? He's literally just sitting on his computer going like, you know what I'm gonna do right now? It's raining. I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini. I'm gonna buy a brand new Lambo. It's raining. I'm bored, so I'm gonna buy a Lamborghini. Tate's a terrible actor. This video isn't a video about what he says it is. This video is not a video about him buying a Lamborghini. This is a video about him selling an idea to customers. This is an advertisement for his scheme, his get-rich-quick scheme, where he's like, give me money, I'll tell you how to be rich, just sign up to my online service. And he has like an online chat room that costs $1,000-something to get access to. It's a scam. This is an entire scam. He's just being like, look guys, you want to be rich like me, right? You want to be so rich that on the weekends when you're bored you can just buy a $500,000 car for no reason? Click the link below. And really, I don't think there's... If we see what we basically saw in the other video, there's no evidence he actually buys the car. He just prints off some papers. The computer screen's blurred, understandably. But, like, it's blurred, so we don't even get to see if he's actually on the Lamborghini website. He just prints off some papers and then acts like he bought a $500,000 car.
Configurator and thought, let me configure my dream, because I already have the Huracan. I thought the Huracan Evo has rear wheel steering and some more horsepower. Let me configure my dream Huracan. Oh, it's only 300,000 euro, chump change. It's not chump change. It's chump change. Print my order form. It's printing now. It's like 300 G's. Those 300 G's.
By the way, people who really can buy $500,000 cars don't sit around talking to their friends like, oh, by the way, I'm buying a car for $500,000. Chump chains. Guys, $500,000. Did you hear that? I'm buying a car for $500,000. If you legitimately can buy a car for $500,000 with absolutely no thought, you just do it. You don't sit there and brag about it.
I knew the minute Andrew said, Luke, I'm sending you an email, print it, I had to start recording.
What's 300 G's to a boss? Like, what kind of man are you if you ain't got 300 G's? Just like... I configured it, and they had a little graphic, and it can move around. How can I not buy it? What choice do I have? I'm only fucking human, Luke.
So when's it coming?
I don't know, ages, probably April or something.
They've got to build it.
They've got to build it. I want it built brand fucking spanking.
Is this the guy who claimed skydiving was for wusses? Yes, it is.
New Evo. What's the difference between my current Huracan and the Evo? Fuck knows.
I was about to say, why have two?
Because I'm a fucking G. How many times have I said this? I tell everyone I'm a G, and they're like, well, why do you... I'm a G. You think I'm lying? I'm a G. That's why.
The thing is, even if he is really buying this car, let's say those websites are completely off about his net worth and he actually has hundreds of $1 million, this would still be fucking sad. This would be incredibly depressing. Like, you have your friends around you who probably hang around you because you have money, and the only thing you have to do when you're bored and hanging out is to buy a bunch of expensive things around them to feel better than other people. Very strange. The Ender 92, my uncle has FU money. One morning he left in his Porsche, and that night he came home in a Bentley. I said, why get a different car? He said the Porsche was hard to get into. Yikes. There are too many people with too much money in this country.
Two of the same car?
Two of the same? No, it's not the same car. That's the Huracan. It's the Huracan Evo. There are dice on this desk. You see dice for you. You dice, no?
He didn't dice.
Playing cards? Luke, are there any playing cards and dice? I don't see any playing cards. No. Why didn't you tell him what? Do you see any playing cards?
No.
Because this ain't no game! This ain't no fucking game! Lamborghini Huracan Spider 5.2 V10 640 liter LP 644 Evo. Previous owners, 0. Vehicle price, rah-de-rah-de-rah. chassis number, blah, blah, blah. Nero Noctis, it's black. Electric heated seats, smartphone interface for connected devices. Cup holder cost me £700. I paid £700 extra for a cup holder.
For a cup holder?
Yes, bro. Red painted calipers.
That's kind of a ridiculous markup for a cup holder. People who buy Lambos are getting ripped off.
Electrochromatic exterior mirrors, £900. I don't have any idea what electrochromatic exterior mirrors are. I just ticked the fucking box. £900 for my fucking electrochromatic. You gonna fuck with a man with electrochromatic mirrors? I'm gonna see everything. Rear diffuser, style package, digital audio broadcast tuner.
It wouldn't surprise you if he's part of a drug ring and doesn't know it, like he's a fall guy that they use. That'd be hilarious, actually.
9VK Sensorium Premium Sound System, 4Gs, ambient light program, colored stitching, NR7 embroidered branding package, rear view camera, lifting system. Lifting system's $4,000. You have to have a lifting system because you can't go over speed bumps any other ways. It's like a $4,000 tax you have to pay for your Lambo. Nav Track Pro ADR. Don't know what that is. A tracker, maybe? 52A 20-inch alloy wheels, graphite gray. Delivery, $3,600 to deliver. Oh wait, we're not done. Upholstery, elegant leather, bicolor, Nero Ada Bianco Polar, whatever. Big Forge Composites package, 6Gs. What the fuck is that? What is that? I'm playing with the configurator. I'm just ticking boxes. Big Forge Composites package. I don't even know what that is. $6,000. Floor mats, customized with piping and stitching. Nice. Kick plate and forged composites. How much? I just ticked every option. Who goes on the Lambo configurator and ticks every box? Oh.
Tate, why do you feel so insecure as to need to scream around your friends to give you validation for buying a useless car? Just seems unhealthy to me.
All of them. Where do I sign? Here. Purchaser's signature. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, all these other dorks on Twitter. Look, I bought a Tesla Model 2. I put a $400 deposit. You're fucking geeks! Who the fuck drives a Tesla? There's no man alive in a Tesla I couldn't kick the living fuck out of. I will drag you from your Tesla by your neck in front of your bitch, and you won't do nothing. And I'll get back in my Lamborghini fucking fully spec Evo. Step to me. Do you see any playing cards, Rory?
There's no playing cards anyway.
Do you know why?
Is it because it's not a fucking game?
Because it's not a fucking game!
Did he seriously just tick all the boxes?
Why would I go on the configurator and look at the things? No, my Lamborghini doesn't need this. Do I look broke?
No, no!
I'm buying Nick 12. One more complaint about my fucking miraculous tick every box system. I'll buy a fucking Rari. Fuck with me. I'll do it.
I know you will. What is this?
Oh, now he's pretending to buy an even different car. First of all, Tate, we didn't see you actually, like, take that paperwork to a dealership or even mail it somewhere. So you probably just, like, clicked all the things, printed off an order form, signed it, and then put it in your shredder. I doubt you bought that car. And now you're just doing it again as an ad for your scam. Dr. Gamble with 100 bits. Salesman. Oh, cool, he ticked the chromatic mirrors box. It's the same as the regular mirror in each and every way, sucker. The electrochromatic mirrors are actually a thing. It's so if people have, like, their brights on behind you, the mirror adjusts so you can see still. What if he's just renting them all? Oh, maybe. If anything, he probably is. He might be leasing them or something. I have no idea, but I don't think there's any chance with the net worth that he has he's buying these cars. Not unless he's literally going to be bankrupt in the next, like, 18 months.
Keep looking at cars. You just bought an Evo.
Looking at it?
Yeah.
Bro, 239.
Yeah?
I got it for 225. Got the invoice right
Wait,
here.
Wait, what?
Got the invoice right here. I'm about to pay it.
Why show a document, a PDF, on the screen if you're just going to blur it? Again, Tate, we have no evidence you've actually bought this.
I ain't looking at cars. I'm buying cars, bro. I'm buying cars. Ferrari 812 super fast.
You just bought a car.
Yes, I just bought a car. Now I just bought another car.
They're such awful actors. Stop, Tate.
I was reading what's better, the Evo, Huracan,
or the 812 super fast, or the Evo's got less horsepower but it handles better. It's got 812 horsepower, the Premier Ferrari, the last 6.5 liter V12 naturally aspirated Ferrari. Bro, think I'm playing games? I ain't playing games, I'm a fucking G. I'm not like these dorks on Money Twitter. Look, I saved up my whole life and bought a Tesla. I'm not a fucking geek! If I want to buy cars, I buy cars at random. I make $1 million a month. What's 200 grand? What is that?
Doubt.
A week? Ooh, a week's money. Ooh, a week's money. I don't give a fuck, bro. I bought an 812 Superfast. I'm going to get a private jet, and we're going to get on it. It's going to be on Take Confidential. We're going to fly our asses to London. We're going to get my 812, and we're going to drive through Europe again, because we just did it.
We just did it.
A week, and we're going to go again, bro. Again, because my money doesn't stop. He told me not to do it. He said, don't buy Ferrari, don't need Ferrari.
We did.
Do you want a straightener?
I do not want a straightener.
If you want to settle this, we can settle this.
Nah.
We'll put gloves on and settle this right now.
Have fun with the car.
Thank you.
Another one.
I'm DJ Khaled.
Another one.
I'm DJ Khaled.
Another one. Another.
When it comes to cars, I'm DJ Khaled.
We don't have room.
This is car number 14. I was thinking of selling my S63, but I drove it today, I kind of like it. But don't worry. Everything's fine, because as you can see from my WhatsApp, ignore all the bitches. Sorry. Here, I got Georgiana, my assistant, looking at houses. So I'm gonna buy a house so I have driveway space for the cars.
Okay, see, that doesn't even make sense. If you needed more space, you'd buy like a garage somewhere. You wouldn't buy a house. That makes no sense. And if he owned a bunch of cars, he would know that. You can just buy garage space somewhere. You don't buy another house for your cars, you idiot. What? Like, you can find high-end car storage where they'll, like, keep it in temperature control and everything and keep your car looking nice if it's, like, an expensive car like a Lamborghini. You don't buy a house for it. That doesn't even make sense.
So I've told Georgiana, find another house near my house with a big driveway, so I can drive a minute. And
this is a stupid lie, even by Tate standards. Tate. Excuse me. Even if you wanted these cars close to your house, you would buy property close to your house, ideally property with nothing on it, and then you would build a garage. Like a big storage garage, and you can put all the bells and whistles in it if you want, have it be temperature controlled, have it have like a ton of security to keep your cars safe. But you know what you're not gonna do is buy a house to use the driveway for your cars. I don't even think you should be keeping your Lamborghinis outside. Like, aren't you supposed to like keep them inside so they don't get like rained on and the paint gets effed up? Like, what?
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
Winter O'Hare, thank you for subscribing for 4 months. His entire personality is performative rage and pretending to be rich. He's so annoying, I know. Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. Nobody puts Lamb Baby in the driveway. I understand that reference. Dirty Dancing.
I got another house full of cars, I'm a G! I buy a Ferrari and I have to buy a house to put the Ferrari in. I'm not playing games, bro. I'm a bad boy.
What is this? You can't just buy.
Rich.
You can't just buy supercars.
I'm rich.
But you can't
No, I'm not one of them who use a little bit of money. Oh, he saved well. He used a 401k. I'm rich. Private jet, unlimited supercars, buy houses at random.
We've never seen your private jet. Isn't that strange, Tate? I don't think we've ever seen your private jet. It seems like if you had a private jet, you'd film videos on it, right? So why have we never seen your private jet, Tate?
$1 million a month cash. I'm rich. It's happening, okay? You just have to fucking accept it. Some people are brilliant, like me, and brilliant people just get what they want. I want to be rich. I literally retired from professional fighting and said to my brother, look, I'm gonna take the same ferocity, the same 8 hours a day of pure energy. I'm gonna focus it into getting rich. And here I am years later, fucking rich. I'm rich. You've seen my life. All I do is spend money. Beep, champagne, beep. More money comes.
The card never ends.
Bro, I check the bank and I'm like, why do I have so much money? I can't spend the money. I've tried. And I'm still trying.
If you were buying $500,000 cars as often as Tate is letting on in these fake videos, he would be broke. Like, the amount of money you're working with, you would literally have to be almost a billionaire before buying, like, Lamborghinis on the reg is not something that dents your finances at all. And there's zero chance Tate is, like, a billionaire. He literally lives in, like, the Ukraine or something because the housing prices are cheaper there. So, like, he could buy a bigger house and have property much cheaper than he could if he lived in the States or in the UK. So, I find it highly suspect that he's, like, a billionaire. Because if he was, why would he live in a country where he's trying to stretch his dollar more so than he could if he were here or in the UK? Very weird.
I'm rich now. It's happened. If I was a dork, I could, like, build an apartment block and save for my kid's future, be a fucking generational wealth, be a fucking nerd. Those little fuckers will grow up as broke as I did. So fuck that. I want a super fast. I want a house to put it in, so I'll fucking buy it cash. What else am I gonna do?
Another one.
We'll be right back.
I cannot believe people buy Tate's BS. He's such a bad liar, and it's so weird that people are like, yeah, this sounds legitimate. This sounds like a real thing that's happening. You think his friend and cameraman is conducting a social experiment to see just how stupid Tate is? His house looks like crap for some crazy millionaire that buys cars on a whim, yeah. Anyway, let's see what's next. What's the quartering up to? Bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum boom ba-dum ba-dum dum I don't think there's anything I really want to watch from him today. That's a shame. I guess we'll have to wait till next Monday to get more quartering in our lives. Bye, Jeremy. See you next time. Okay. This is John Doyle talking about, there's a HBO Max original movie coming out that's like a road trip drama / comedy, sort of a dramedy about a woman who's like 17 who wants to get her pregnancy terminated, and she needs to drive to another state to do so, to a state where she can get one without parental consent because her parents aren't going to consent. So she has, like, someone who used to be her friend who has a car drive her. That's what this is. And now John Doyle is super mad about it because he thinks that abortion is murder, even though it's not. So let's talk about this and see if we can sort of rebut his opinions on abortion or whatever. We'll watch the Elliot Hulse video after this.
Fine, you're fine. You always use a condom, so you're fine.
I'm not going to watch this whole trailer. You just need to know that it's like, it's a trailer, it's a road trip comedy, drama. And she's like, I need to get to whatever state. And they're in it, and they do it.
It's very difficult to present me with circumstances which I would believe justify the killing of innocent life, but the trailer for this movie actually came out a few days ago, and when I first saw it, I was very surprised, but at the same time, I was not surprised at all, because, you know, you watch it, and you think, wow, I can't believe that they would present a teenage mother getting an abortion without telling her parents as just a fun road trip comedy. That's disgusting, that's depraved, but then...
Not really. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting an abortion, John. I know you have moral compunctions with it, and that's fine. No one can force you to get an abortion, John. If you get pregnant someday, and you want to carry it to term, that's fine. That's completely your right to do so. But that doesn't make it disgusting just because you don't agree with it.
Then you look outside, and you remember that we're going to hell in a handcart, so in a way, it makes perfect sense. But speaking of things that make perfect sense, why do you think that the left champions abortion so much?
Because we care about the right of the individual, even though the people on the right are the ones who say, like, we care about individual rights. You don't really seem to, like at all. The only rights you seem to care about are the right of businesses to screw over consumers, the rights of landlords to screw over tenants, the rights of the government to screw over the people who live in the country. Those seem to be the things you care about, whereas the people on the left, whether we're talking about leftists like myself or if we're even talking about liberals, tend to champion causes that work towards liberty for people and their ability to go about their lives in ways that allow them to live them in a way that makes them happy. Seems like something you guys don't like. The only thing you guys like is, like, guns. That's about it. Table Manor 16, thank you for following. Welcome to the stream.
Why do you think that they celebrate it so much? Why are there parades for it? Why do they dedicate...
Because there are still people like you who are trying to strip away the right to have an abortion away from people all the time. It's a thing that's constantly being fought about.
Ceremonies and clothing to it. Why do they even
evangelically
praise it and remind you of the abortions that they've had, trying to convince you and perhaps even themselves that it was okay and that it was the right thing to do? Well,
because for many people who choose to do so, for most people who choose to do so, it is the right thing to do for them. Pretty simple.
The reason is that abortion is the crown jewel of their religion. It is the ultimate...
That's true, actually. Every Sunday, I go to my, I guess it's the Church of Leftism or whatever, and instead of communion wafers, we put little thin sliced aborted fetus on a cracker, and we take that as a sacrament. Very true, John.
State of liberal philosophy. It is the logical conclusion of liberal philosophy. It means that they are so liberated and so autonomous that they can literally murder another human being if it's
not a human being, John. This has been explained multiple times, but let me go on about it in case you haven't heard this argument before, so you can use it when some idiot like John comes up and tries to tell you that your right to have an abortion is not something that's okay. If someone around you has an organ that fails, let's say they have a very rare blood type, and only you can give them a kidney in order to save their life. Only you. You have some rare thing where you and that person are the only people on the planet who share this blood type. You cannot be forced by anyone, by that individual, by the government, by a church, by your family, by your friends, to give that organ if you don't want to. No one can have their bodily autonomy taken away from them in order to save the life of another. So first of all, I don't think fetuses are the same thing as a human being. Morally, I don't think so. It's like saying a seed is exactly the same thing as a tree just because if you leave it be, eventually it might become a tree. I disagree entirely. Secondly, even if you decide that you think fetuses are human beings, you cannot force another human being to sustain that life. You just can't do it. That's not how the law works.
This life is inconvenient to them. It means that they get to play God. And perhaps you don't believe that abortion is murder, so we'll get to that a little bit later, but
please do.
If you think about what differentiates the left from the right, it can most simply be articulated as the belief in hierarchy versus the belief in total equality. And a lot of people have this take of, well, the left and right paradigm is false. It's not real. Both sides are the same. Kind of cringe, also just not true. Like, politicians lying doesn't invalidate the historical and philosophical nature of the right and the left. And that categorization dates back to the aftermath of the French Revolution, where those who believed in total equality sat on the left and those who believed in hierarchy sat on the right. And so liberalism's belief in total equality, the idea that we're all born the same, has led to the...
Boy, what crazy radical left-leaning idea is that? All men are created equal.
Belief that man ought to be liberated.
Endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. Is that also a thing, John? You think about that? Maybe? No? Okay, cool.
Even from the constraints and unfairness of nature. That nature which produces hierarchy, also known as inequality, as well as human life. So to be truly liberated means to even be liberated from nature, which means that the...
DM Trey with 5 bits. I know a guy who tried telling me that people get abortions so they don't need birth control. Winter O'Hare with 50 bits. God, I hate anti-choice people. They don't care about babies when they're born. They only care about telling people what they can and can't do. True. John. I gotta go back and listen to what he just said. I lost my train of thought.
As well as human life. nature. That nature which produces...
Going against nature. John, there are plenty of things that we do that go against nature. Human beings are unique amongst animals in that we have reasoning capabilities. We not only have self-awareness, but we have not only sentience, but sapience, right? We believe that we have certain rights. We endow these rights upon each other. Because at the end of the day, that's all a right is. It's an agreement between all of us that no one can take this particular right away from you. And a lot of those rights don't necessarily jive with nature. Your right to pursue happiness, your right to independence, these things aren't necessarily congruent with nature. You could argue that the natural state of man is some state in which the strong rule over the weak, in which the strong force the weak to do their bidding, whether it be through forced marriages, like I'm Grog, I have a rock, I'm gonna hit this woman on the head, drag her back to my cave, have my way with her, and, you know, have a family. Or human beings enslaving other human beings, which unfortunately has been the case in many human societies throughout time. That doesn't make those things good just because they might be natural, whatever that means. And also, if we're talking about what's natural, pregnancies end without coming to term all the time. So come on. Unconditional prong 1, thank you for following.
Hierarchy, also known as inequality, as well as human life. So to be truly liberated means to even be liberated from nature, which means that the state must enforce equality, since if left alone, inequality will result, and also to be liberated from the natural...
I think people want equality of opportunity, which is a good thing.
...consequence of sex, which is pregnancy, and so...
Not if you take birth control or if you get an abortion, and that's the point. John, we invent medical procedures that help people that would otherwise die all the time. People with diabetes, prior to the invention of insulin, would eventually slip into diabetic comas and die. That's natural. That doesn't make it good. Natural is not a synonym for the moral good. Oh, hold on, I'll get this person. Banned. Thank you, Bellstar, for getting that. Is he against condoms as well? Is he Catholic? I don't remember if John Doyle's Catholic.
So, as we can see, the results of this have been things like abortion and state-enforced equality of outcome. So it's all connected, and that's why abortion is so important to them. The most fundamental characteristic of a human being, and of nature in general, the ability to reproduce, has been conquered by liberalism through...
John, no one's forcing abortions on people who don't want them. Do you not understand that that's the entire point of the pro-choice position? That if you want an abortion for this particular pregnancy, then you should have one if that's what you want. And if you want to carry a baby to full term and have it, that's great too. That's the choice in pro-choice. Although if we can conquer concepts as broad as human reproduction, dibs. A Colston with 20 bits. In the book, you find that her boyfriend poked a hole in her condom to get her pregnant. John's essentially condoning RAPE in the book. Oh, in the book that the movie's based on. I gotcha. Interesting.
Abstract rationalizations. There will never be a greater accomplishment for liberalism, since nothing takes precedence over the value of human life.
John, again, you're putting, like, motivations on people on the left that are just inaccurate. When I think about, like, being pro-choice, excuse me, and I think about people having the right to choose if they want to carry pregnancies to term or not, I'm not thinking, we have conquered the most, the highest value of all, the value of human life. I'm thinking, oh, great, that person has a choice as to what to do with their body. That's awesome. And since upwards of 95 or something % of pregnancy terminations happen in the first 5 weeks, that thing is not human to me. It just isn't. I do not consider a fetus, I do not consider, like, a zygote a human being. I don't. And most people I know on the left also don't. It's just a moral difference, John. And you can have your opinion if you think that is a human being. I don't really care. That's your position. That's fine. That's between you and whoever you get pregnant in the future if that happens. Like, that's you guys' deal. Great. But You cannot enforce that view on others, because as much as you might want to say, oh, this is a black and white issue, it's not. It just isn't. It isn't. It's not. There's no scientific, like, conclusion you can draw to decide when does something become a human being. That answer doesn't exist. That's a philosophical question. And if you answer that philosophically in such a way that you think that it starts at conception, great. That's your business. I don't care. I'm not going to try and tell you differently for your own life. However, you decide to think, hey, I've come up with this philosophical answer, and everyone needs to apply it to themselves because it's my opinion, and my opinion is correct. And that's ridiculous. John, you can have your feelings on when life begins, and if you think that someone should be forced to carry that life, which is an entirely different discussion. But at the end of the day, other people don't agree with you. And it's their right to carry out their beliefs the way that they see fit.
Unless they can manage to, like, scientifically clone people or to actualize asexual reproduction, but only then will something even begin to rival the magnitude of abortion as the quintessential accomplishment of liberalism.
I think that the quintessential accomplishment of liberalism is like democracy, the right to vote, the civil rights movement, women's suffrage, those things. The right to abortion is great. The right to privacy, which is what it was found under Roe v. Wade, basically. They said that in the decision that certain rights casted a penumbra, and abortion fell under the right to privacy, which is an interesting decision. These things are good. I don't think we should be trying to put them in, like, categorically what's the best. They're all good things, and yes, abortion has existed long before liberalism. John, the thing you need to understand is that the conversation about abortion has never been, should we allow abortions or should we have zero abortions? Because there's never been a period in human history when we've had zero abortions. In the United States prior to Roe v. Wade, do you know what happened when abortion was illegal? People would go to backroom abortion clinics with people who were unqualified to be doing that job. And it would hurt the mother. It would hurt the woman getting the abortion. Sometimes it would kill them because it wasn't done under proper medical supervision. That's a problem. So we're not having a discussion about should we have abortion or should we have no abortion. We're having a discussion about should we have safe abortion or should we have backroom abortions that are going to kill tons of people. Completely different.
The complete disregard of the other, over whom one has a host of moral and perhaps even biological obligations in pursuit of the divine self. It's
in pursuit of the divine self. John, I hate to break it to you, but first of all, you can't bring religion into this. For your own personal considerations, you can. But if we're talking about the law, you cannot bring religion into the law, period. Secondly, if we're going to talk about Christianity, which is the religion that you follow, John, how many times is abortion mentioned in the Bible? I'll give y'all a second in the chat in case you don't know this. How many times do you all think abortion is mentioned in the Bible? Take a guess. I'm just curious what the chat thinks. Some of you will know because we've covered this on the Atheist Bible Study, but a lot of people are saying 1, 1, 1, 1. You're all right. Abortion is mentioned once in the Old Testament, and it's instructions on how to perform an abortion. The one time abortion is mentioned in the Bible, it doesn't say something like, oh, abortion is wicked and those who perform it are going to hell. Satan is... No. It's like, hey, you think your wife's cheating on you? Then you need to go to the priest, and he's going to do these things, and it'll cause her to miscarry. That's in the Bible. Let's find the exact passage, shall we? Abortion instructions in the Bible. Ordeal of the bitter water. The ordeal of the bitter water was a trial by ordeal administered to the wife of whose husband suspected her of adultery, but who had no witnesses to make a formal case. Numbers 5:11 through 31. The ordeal is further explained in the Talmud in the 7th tractate of Nashim. Sota is a woman suspected of adultery who undergoes the ordeal of bitter water, or ordeal of jealousy as described and prescribed in the priestly code. In the book of Numbers, the 4th book of the Hebrew Bible, the term sota itself is not found in the Hebrew Bible, but is Mishnak, Hebrew based on the verse of, if she had strayed. And the priest shall cause her to swear, and shall say unto the woman, if no man hath lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanliness, being under thy husband, be thou free from this water of bitterness that causes the curse. But if thou hast gone aside, being under thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee besides thy husband, then the priest shall cause the woman to swear with a certain oath cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, the Lord make thee a curse and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh fall away, and thy belly to swell. Pregnancy. And this water that causeth the curse shall go into thy bowels, and make thy belly to swell, and thy thighs to fall away. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses on a scroll, and shall blot them out into the water of bitterness. And he shall make the woman drink the water of bitterness that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter in her and become bitter. So the idea is that you think your wife cheated on you. You take her to the priest. The priest knows this concoction that they call the bitter water. I don't know what this is. It's some kind of folk medicine. I would imagine that they ascribe supernatural beliefs to. And they basically say, drink this, and if you miscarry because of this thing that we're giving you, which is an abortion according to people on the right. Excuse me. Then that means that you cheated on your husband. If you don't miscarry, it means you didn't cheat. Of course, this is stupid logic. It's like witch hunt logic. Like, oh, if we dunk her in the water and she dies, she was innocent. But if she lives, she's a witch and we need to kill her. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Anyway, so the Bible mentions abortion once, and it promotes it in the case of cheating on your husband. So the Bible is not anti-abortion by any means.
It's abhorrent. But anyways, we'll watch the trailer, we'll go over that, and then we'll talk about why this movie is so terrible and harmful, and also why abortion in general is so terrible and harmful, along with what all of this means for our country. But before we get into that, I do have to tell you very quickly about a service I've been using for the last few months called ExpressVPN. For those of you unfamiliar,
I can't believe he's getting sponsored by ExpressVPN. Thank you to Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. I once pointed this out to someone who was using the Bible as a reason to oppose the Bible, and their response was, that's not an abortion, it's a trial. And what happens if you fail the trial? It aborts the baby. It's literally a trial by abortion.
Pretty epic. It's a top for some reason. Any of your ExpressVPN.com. Let's go through the trailer.
Fine, you're fine. You always use a condom, so you're fine.
Hey, dude.
I've got this thing.
If a young woman needs a procedure, is that possible? Where's the closest facility? There's an Albuquerque in Missouri?
The law won't let me get one without my parents knowing.
Some important context for this movie, by the way, is that the reason she needs to get this abortion, the reason that she needs to kill this child, is because according to the descriptions of the film, having this child would squander her Ivy League college dreams.
Yes, and that's perfectly fine. If a tree drops a seed next to my driveway, and it's gonna, I know, if it grows, is about to destroy my driveway, I have every right to take a shovel and pull the seed out of the ground before it turns into a tree and destroys my driveway. Same thing.
And this is not unlike when we saw Michelle Williams praise abortion at the Golden Globes and say that if it weren't for her abortion, she never would have been able to receive that award. Perhaps this is operating on a different scale, but the premise remains the same, which is that the life of a human being is second to my desires. That not...
Yep, that happens all the time, John. hate to break it to you, and again, you're considering something that isn't a human yet, a human life, when it isn't.
Not only is it permissible, but it's actually good to sacrifice human life at the altar of fame, fortune, or status. It's evil. More specifically, it's satanic, but I'm sure we'll get into that later.
It's satanic? Oh, John, don't get into the QAnon bullshit. That'll be a quick way to get your channel banned. Although, if you'd like to do that, please do so, and we can get you kicked off YouTube very quickly.
I'd be surprised if we could avoid it. Might have to go preacher mode. We'll see. But this whole leftist narrative of, oh, well, motherhood, serving your family, that's not empowering for women. You know what is empowering for women? Serving an employer.
Both can be, John. What's empowering is people having the agency to decide what they want to do with their own life.
Not getting married and having kids, but working 50 hours a week, entering numbers into a spreadsheet, or writing legal briefs. That's what it really means to be a woman.
If that's what the woman who you're talking about wants to do with her life, that's the entire point. The point is not to prescribe to someone because of their gender what they should do with their life. If someone wants to be a stay-at-home mom, great, good for them. If someone wants to be a stay-at-home dad, great, good for them. If someone wants to go and work at a law firm, awesome, they should go for it. That's the entire point of personal liberty, John. Something that people on the right seem to have completely forgotten, or at the very least, you never really believed in it, and you've been using it as a dog whistle for decades because you just think, oh, you know, personal liberty, it sounds great. Well, John, personal liberty means that you can pursue happiness in whatever way makes you happy. Pretty simple.
And as it would turn out, as we've experienced a few decades of
Winter O'Hare with 50 bits. At the same time, John would reject the notion of providing aid for single mothers. I hate him. Yeah, he's awful. He's a hypocrite. He doesn't care about children. He doesn't care about babies. He cares about forcing women into a role that he thinks is right for them, that being motherhood, even when they don't want to. It's ridiculous.
That supposed female empowerment, women are experiencing record levels of depression.
I think men are too. We're all very depressed. John, we live in a society where, like, there are people out there who have, like, $200 billion. Jeff Bezos, I think, just reached $200 billion. Meanwhile, there are people who can't feed their kids. There are people who can't feed themselves or keep a roof over their head. People are working shitty minimum wage jobs, sometimes multiple of them, just to sustain themselves and their families. There's no upward mobility for so many people in our society. And we look at the future and see nothing but doom. We see politicians not caring about our interests, not caring about the concerns of climate change, which again, I know you don't think are real, but you're wrong. So I'm going to continue anyway, because I'm not going to act like your opinion matters more than a fucking scientist. John, the reason people are depressed is not because of the non-conformity towards gender roles. If that's your claim, you need to substantiate that.
They are more depressed than men. They're becoming more depressed relative to men.
I think women's depression has always been somewhat higher than men. So it's gone down, but so is men's, but women already starting lower. They both dropped, but women's are again, you know, we're already lower, so.
And they're more depressed than their mothers and their grandmothers at the same stages of their lives. This is referred to as the
I imagine the same thing happened with men. I'd imagine, John, you're probably more depressed than your dad or his dad, probably because they had more opportunity and better paying jobs than you do. Like, John, you either work or worked at Subway. You lucked out and were able to do this internet thing. Imagine if you were stuck at that Subway job your entire life, because, John, you don't believe in higher education in the first place. And as far as I know, you weren't interested in any trade school, but I could be wrong. So if you had to work at that Subway for the rest of your life for minimum wage, do you think that you would be depressed? Probably.
Paradox of declining female happiness. And so for Hollywood to come in and communicate to young girls, hey, it's totally normal for you to be sexually active in high school. Saving yourself for marriage, that's outdated. People back then weren't as smart.
John, it's not about prescribing something to people. It's about the fact that people have sex. People in high school have sex. Like, they just do. The movie's not telling you to go do it. It's telling you, hey, here's a story about someone who did have sex with their boyfriend and they got pregnant and now they gotta deal with it because they don't want to carry the pregnancy to term. And that's fine. What do you not understand? That representation of something is not automatically saying, hey, you should go do this thing. People in high school have sex, John. I don't think you did, but other people do. You know what I mean? Like, people with friends and social relationships.
As we are now, I mean, you know, they still thought that only women could give birth, but we're smarter now. And also, if you happen to get pregnant doing that thing that is designed to get you pregnant, just kill the kid. You gotta go be a number at a university.
John, first of all, most sexual encounters, even unprotected ones, do not result in pregnancies. And even those that do, a good portion of those do not carry to term. Like, do you not know this, John? Do you not know that so many pregnancies... In fairness, John probably doesn't know this, because I don't think he's ever talked to a woman who trusts him enough to, like, actually have a heart-to-heart and explain this to him. Because in society, we don't talk about it a ton. So many pregnancies do not carry to term. So many pregnancies just end. That's why, like, if you get pregnant, people don't tell people before the 2-month mark, because prior to that, there's a good chance that it's not gonna continue. Like, that's a very, very common thing. And I don't know if John knows that. But anyway, Cherry Tree Boy with a bit. I left because the stream was glitching, and it was disappointing of seeing John's. It's immeasurable. Magnetar707, thanks for continuing your subscription. 4-month streak. Magnetar says, hello everybody, an update on the fire near my house. It's still really close, but it hasn't moved any closer in like 4 days, and the firefighters are doing great work securing my neighborhood, so I'm doing a lot better. Good, I'm glad. I hope you and your home continue to be safe.
And then you gotta go be a number at some company. Don't settle down, don't have a family, that's not what you want. You wanna do what the men do, because the best way to empower...
John, the vast majority of media in America still shows like people having families is a positive thing. Like, people have careers, but there's plenty of media that shows women who are stay-at-home moms. There's plenty of media that still says, hey, this is a thing you can be. It's just that it's not the only thing you can be.
Our women is to rape them of their feminine identity.
Really? That's what you're gonna do, John? Really?
And then tell them that femininity is oppressive and they have to strive to be just like men. And the only people who actually get to proudly embody womanhood are delusional men. That's what our daughters are learning.
There we go.
Them of their feminine identity, and then tell them that femininity is oppressive and they have to strive to be just like men. And the only people who
report report. Hey, anybody want a link to this in the chat for absolutely no reason? We're at 8:08. He's about to say some transphobic shit. There's a link in case you want it for literally any reason at all.
Actually get to proudly embody womanhood are delusional men. That's what our daughters are learning. Our daughters are taught that the defining characteristic of their identity as a woman is not their ability to create life, but rather their choice, their rights to kill that life if it's inconvenient.
No one says to women, hey, you know what makes you a woman? Your right to have an abortion.
Convenient to them. It's disgusting. Let's empower women by rejecting the fundamental characteristics of womanhood. That's why the pioneering feminists didn't want women to even have a choice. Simone de Beauvoir told Betty Friedan that if women were allowed to make the choice for themselves, then too many would want to stay home and raise children. And so the only way for them to achieve the goals of their narrative was to indoctrinate generations of women.
So raising women from a young age with nothing but baby dolls and telling them you're going to be a great mom when you grow up, and telling them the only thing you can be as a mom is not indoctrination, but telling them you can be whatever you want. You can go have a career, you can go be in politics, you can go do whatever you want. You can be an entrepreneur, you can have a kid, you can be a stay-at-home mom, or you can have kids and go to work. But that, having the freedom to choose, that's indoctrination. Remember, everyone, freedom is slavery. Big Brother says so.
into this completely artificial perversion of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a mother. I mean, the movie is literally called Unpregnant. What does that even mean? That's not a real concept. That's a euphemism.
Oh God, what was it originally called? It had a better name, but they couldn't get away with it. It was the something trip. It was like a pun. Hold on, I gotta find it. I know it had a name that I was like trying to... Abort Mission! That's what it was called. And then they had to change the name. I think Abort Mission would have been the better title, but... People are sensitive.
Typically, you'd expect that to mean like, oh, she gave birth to the child. But no, in this case, it would mean that she killed it. And they're not even taking the extreme approach.
Again, you're using the word kill on someone who has been pregnant for probably a couple of weeks. Not a couple of weeks. It takes longer to realize something. Probably within the first 5 weeks, maybe a little bit later. You're using kill in that, like, context. Very loosey-goosey. I would not consider what we have there at that point to be living. At least in the sense that it's a human being. So I disagree.
Right? Like, they're not even taking the, oh, well, you know, the mother's health was... No, they're just saying, well, she wants to go to college, so she should be able to kill it. And
again, you're using the word kill. Don't agree. But again, I explained earlier that even if you do consider it a human being, you can't force another human being into giving up their bodily autonomy for another human being, even if that's what you consider. So you're losing on all fronts, John. Thank you to Stephen J. Neptune Man for 15 bits. I just can't understand why people say John Doyle is a fascist.
And these types of reasons make up the vast, vast, vast majority of reasons for women getting abortions, by the way, which is why you can never compromise with these people.
Okay, and it's none of your business why people get abortions, John. They have the right to do so. And if you ever get it overturned by the court, people aren't going to stop getting abortions. It's just going to move underground, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, and it'll be unfortunate. And once again, we'll have to fight for it, and we'll get the right back yet again. I don't know what you think you're doing here, John. It's a movie about someone getting an abortion because people get abortions. You're allowed to represent things that happen in the real world in movies. You know that, right? Heck, you're allowed to show things that don't happen in real life in movies. That's kind of the point of like 90% of movies.
On anything, because they will never stop. And I also like how this is where we're at now with teenage movies. Like, this is what the coming-of-age stories are now. And they're only going to get...
Yes, John. All coming-of-age movies moving forward will have to include an abortion. It's a quota. George Soros sent the message out to every movie studio. If you ever make a coming-of-age story, it must now include an abortion. John, how about the movie Juno? Juno's another movie. It's quite good. That's a kind of a coming-of-age comedy drama with a similar tone to this movie, but it involves someone who doesn't want to terminate the pregnancy and instead carries it to term. That's fine, right? So why isn't this fine? There's already been the teen comedy about someone who's pregnant and actually has the baby. Why not have this one? John, people have a First Amendment right to make movies about whatever they want. Or sorry, do you only think the Second Amendment is the amendment that counts? That would make sense.
Get worse from here. And you can trace the evolution like, dude, let's throw...
They hated Juno when it came out too. When did Juno come out? Hold on. 2007. How old was John in 2007? 13. 21 minus 13. Well, John was 8 years old when Juno came out, so I guess he probably didn't have an opinion on it.
Party while mom and dad are gone. Dude, let's drink beer. We don't have to tell our parents. Hey, let's sneak out Saturday night so we can go make out in a car with bench seating. And now it's like, hey, I'm pregnant and I want to kill the child. Let's go on a road trip. Also, like, when she's waiting for the test results, she's telling herself, like, oh, I can't be pregnant because I always use a condom, which is really just sad because you've got this girl.
As someone mentioned in the chat earlier, what happens in the movie, or at least what happens in the book version, I don't know if they'll change it in the movie, the boyfriend that she was sleeping with poked holes in the condom, which is assault, if you don't know. So John is literally talking about this, like, actually, you can get pregnant. Like, John, maybe watch the movie before you criticize it. That would make sure you don't put your foot in your mouth.
Who's sexually active in high school, and through habitual participation of the act designed to create human life, she manages to create a human life. And because she was irresponsible, because she wasn't ready to be a mother yet, now that life, which she is responsible for creating, has to die. But it's...
Again, you're using the term die. I don't think something that hasn't been born can die. Again, you can disagree with me. That's fine. That's why I'm pro-choice. I'm not pro-forced abortion. John, if you get pregnant, somehow miraculously, and you would like to carry that baby to term, and teach it as your own, you can name it little baby Adolf, and you can do whatever you want, and just raise that baby, and that's great. But you can't force that on other people. That's the entire point of the pro-choice position, is to give people the right to choose whether or not they want to carry out that pregnancy or not.
It's okay because she's going to go get a degree, probably in something useless. And, you know, she got to secrete some dopamine and oxytocin along the way. Was it worth it, Mommy?
This is the comic when that actress talked about abortion at the Golden Globes, and someone made this, and I found it hilarious. Someone should write a rebuttal comic where she's like, fuck yeah. Maybe if I won an Oscar, it'd be a little better. But yeah, it's a Golden Globe. It's something to put on the mantle, you know? And the funny thing is, too, like, she has kids. This woman has kids now. It's not like she never had kids, if that's your concern. Like, yeah, she had an abortion. First of all, it wouldn't look like this. This isn't what fetuses look like. This is what a 3-year-old kid looks like. Oh man, you know what I want John to learn someday? That his parents, like, that got pregnant prior to him, and that they terminated a pregnancy, and then later they had him, making John's existence contingent on an abortion, just to see his head explode with how he feels about that. That'd be hilarious.
I know we're not close anymore. True. And I'm the last person that you want to help. Accurate. But I need your help, and I don't have anywhere else to go.
Go where?
To get the thing, the procedure.
So you're hiding this from your man, your best friend.
Hey, girl.
And your Jesus freak parents. And you thought, why not ask Bailey Butler to drive me hundreds of miles? Because she probably doesn't have anything to do anyway.
Kind of, yes. Bailey! Bailey, come on!
I'm just messing with you. You're right, I do not have anything going on.
I thought you drove a Camry.
Road trip! Abortion is much less of a traumatic event, much more of a road trip.
I mean, it would probably depend upon the person in the situation. I'm sure there are some people who have a really hard time and find their abortion to be a difficult thing. But there are other people who have it done and they're just like, yeah, this is something I needed to do and I'm glad I had the right to do it. And that's fine. People have the choice, John, and all choices come with them feelings about that choice. Most people are perfectly fine with their abortions. Most people are glad they made that decision. Are there some people out there who disagree? Maybe. But again, it doesn't change the fact that you're an adult person, and it's your choice, right? We all have choices that we make on a daily basis.
Teen pregnancy is quirky. Killing babies is quirky.
It's not killing babies, John. It's not a baby.
This is definitely not a cope. It's not like when people celebrate their abortions, they have to assure us that they don't regret it, that it was the best decision that...
John, they're saying this literally to people like you, who are saying like, you're gonna regret that abortion. No, most women don't regret abortions they have. They just don't. And they're trying to reinforce that because people like you constantly are like, oh, you're gonna regret that abortion. No, most people don't. They really don't.
That they ever made? Yeah, okay. Which one of us are you trying to convince, me or you? Celebrating abortion is a cope. Women are much more likely to
not really
develop anxiety disorders, depression, substance abuse problems, or to commit suicide after they've had an abortion. And the left's answer,
I would imagine that's correlative and not causative. I would imagine, oh boy, how am I going to put this? I think that people who are going to tend to have abortions are probably going to have worse outcomes overall, because I think people are going to have more unexpected pregnancies in instances where they weren't using birth control, and if you're not using birth control, you probably haven't been educated either on sex or don't have a very good education system in general, and those things are going to correlate to worse life outcomes, which is going to lead to more depression and also lead to higher instances of abortion. That doesn't mean that having the abortion is literally what causes them to have issues. You also didn't cite this source, as always, John. So, start citing your sources, and then we can talk about them.
To this is because everything ever has been socially constructed. It's because people like you make them feel bad about it, which again is a cope. And also,
no, it's because you're an asshole who makes people feel bad about things, John. You were literally making fun of trans people like 2 minutes ago.
Like how this is the problem in the film. The central conflict is not that the girl is pregnant. It's not that she's inheriting this responsibility. The problem is, oh, I'm definitely going to kill it. It's just going to be kind of tricky because I can't let my parents find out about it.
Yeah, because she has that right, John. Whether you want her to or not. This is the cope. This is you making a 20-minute video where you're like, "Ree, they made a movie about a woman getting an abortion." Like, yeah, she can do that. That's her right. Cope harder, John.
Because, you know, they would stop me, and that's inconvenient to what I want, which of course just reinforces the eternal antagonist as the parents and their Christian moral code. Remember, the girl referred to the parents as a Jesus freak.
Yeah, they had a picture of the Pope, like, on their wall. That's some, like, top-tier weirdo stuff.
Parents. Using Jesus freak or anything adjacent as a pejorative is the biggest rhetorical cope in the history of the English language. What is it?
Wow. That sure is a claim.
I mean to be a Jesus freak. Like, bro, you're so pious. Haha, bro, I bet the only thing you kneel for is Christ and not literally any minority who asks you to. What an idiot. Bro, I bet...
John, people make fun of people who are Jesus freaks because they're weirdos who believe all sorts of crazy things. No one looks at a really, really Christian person and thinks, wow, they're so pious. Unless you're also a religious person. I don't think people who are super religious are moral. They often use their religion to promote immorality, to promote disenfranchisement of people who are different from them. Gay people, lesbians, trans people, people who want to get abortions. These things are immoral, at least from my perspective. I've never looked at someone who's super duper religious and been like, dang, bro, so pious.
Bet you keep a pure mind and don't even watch cartoon animals have sex.
Haven't you, John, though? Because let me tell you, pretty great.
Loser. It's such a cope. And I'm not saying all atheists are like that, but the people who are like that, these very disgusting, hedonistic, degenerate people, the people who would use Jesus freak as an insult, they're all atheists. And we can talk about the difference between policies all day long, but really what it comes down to is the original and eternal conflict between good and evil. This is not Republicans versus Democrats or conservatives versus liberals. This is good versus evil. And
good versus evil. Which side do you think you're on again, John? Just curious.
We'll get more in depth with that in a second, but that's the most important thing to be thinking about when looking at things like this, because it, you know, you look outside the state of the country, the state of the world. Once you accept that, everything else just makes sense. And of course, I would never go as far as to say something like the movie is satanic. However, if Satanists were producing content, you know, this is about exactly what it would look like. You know, not hey.
John, if Satanists were making content, it would probably look more like the 1980s movie Heavy Metal. Or like, oh god, what's a good example of a really metal movie? I don't know, maybe Tenacious D if it were like a comedy, or, I don't know. I don't think it'd be this, like, twee HBO Max road trip movie.
Hey girl, I need your help raising this child or with completing the pregnancy and putting it up for adoption, which would be so easy since there are huge waiting lists for newborn babies at any given time. No, we're actually just gonna go kill it, and I'm not gonna tell my parents because I don't need them reminding me that what I'm doing is selfish and...
Okay, or they don't need the vacuous moralizing of saying, but 2,000-year-old book says... Even though it doesn't say that. It's pointless, John. People don't need your religious input because it's less than worthless.
And wrong, yes.
Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico. We'll be in Albuquerque by tomorrow night. No. And we'll be home Sunday evening. I'm setting the alarm for 5 a.m.
Self-care, huh? I had to post something so people wouldn't bother me. Of course, and so people wouldn't know you're with me. We both know you wouldn't do the same for me.
You made it really hard to be your friend.
I'm sorry that I couldn't be perfect for you all the time.
Needed you to be perfect. I appreciate everything you've done for me.
You crazy idiot! That is so goddamn nice. Let's go!
Now we've got this arc, which is just incredible, and it's that the film is going to emphasize more on the relationship between these two girls.
Yes, because that's part of the movie. It's about this bonding experience they're having as two women who are going through an experience that, like, most people won't go through, and being like, hey, I need your help getting an abortion because my parents won't let me. I trust you enough to have you in on this, to come and help me do this. And it seems, again, I haven't read the book or seen the movie or anything, but it seems like they used to be friends, but at some point in their schooling, like, one of them went on to be like the, oh, I'm a popular type A person, and the other one's more like, you know, just like, you know, whatever, you know. Not that. Not in the popular crowd, and through this experience, they'll grow closer together. It seems like John's mad that, like, the fetus isn't a main character when it's a plot device. Sorry, John, but it's not a character in the movie, because it's not a person!
Then on the relationship between the mother and her child, they're going to...
It's not a child. It's literally like a lump of cells at this point, John.
Make this relationship appear to be more significant and more emotional than the relationship between the mother and her child. And the reason for that is that they don't want to acknowledge a relationship.
Because to them it doesn't exist. John, if you got pregnant, or if you had a girlfriend or a wife and they got pregnant, and you felt there was a relationship between you and the fetus, that's great. That's on you. But that's something you're projecting onto it, right? It's not sentient. It's not self-aware. It doesn't know anything. It doesn't feel anything, at least up until a certain point in the pregnancy. It's just kind of there, right? And if you feel there's this connection between you and the fetus, I'm happy for you and that's awesome, but it's something that you're feeling. It's not a tangible thing that exists, right? So for someone who doesn't feel that, it doesn't exist. Because that relationship is entirely contingent upon you feeling it. That's what the relationship is. So if someone doesn't have this connection to the fetus or zygote growing inside of them, that's completely fine. Because it doesn't matter. It's a fetus. It doesn't give a fuck.
It doesn't exist. It's not a child. It's not even a life.
It's certainly not a child. That's for sure. Thank you to Freaking Out 99 for a bit. Having a relationship with the fetus is like drawing a face on an egg and pretending it's alive until it hatches, like in Ice Age 3. Fair enough.
It's just a clump of cells. The real
Yes, it is. That's what it is, John.
Focus here is on the fact that the one girl hasn't always been so nice to the other girl, but now they're uniting together to kill a kid, because girl power. And abortion's...
Girl power. If we could have more girl power movies that are like about abortions, I'm on board. Or straight up like killing kids. Let's get a movie where a bunch of Satanists mow down an entire kindergarten. That'll go well. Actually, it wouldn't, because those are actual children, and people care about children. Stephen J. Neptune Man with 15 bits. For someone who treasures the value of life so much, you would think he would support Black Lives Matter movement instead of demolishing it. Yeah, that's the point. He's like, it's a bad faith argument. He doesn't care about life. He cares about people fitting into certain roles. He doesn't care about the fact that he thinks this, like, lump of cells is a person. I don't even think he necessarily actually believes that. I think he thinks if he can force people to have children and not have abortions, then he can force women more often than they are now into a certain societal role. And this is his, like, tertiary way of trying to get that to happen. He's trying to force women into a traditional gender role, but he can't just say that. So instead of just saying, like, I want to force women to be mothers, he's going to say, well, if you get pregnant, you gotta have it, because that pushes more people into that role de facto. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous bad faith argumentation.
It's actually a very simple issue. Like, it gets overcomplicated because both sides have very vested interests in the outcomes, and so we get into these complex philosophical and bioethical discussions, but then we also get into these less intelligent, you know, no uterus, no opinion type discussions. But when you clear all the smoke away, it just boils down to, if that is a human life, then you can't kill it. And the problem with that is that—
No. You haven't demonstrated it's a human life, John. That's a philosophical question. If you have a definitive answer to literally any philosophical question, then please write a paper about it. That would be amazing. But you haven't demonstrated that, so that's not the conversation we're having.
That it's fairly easy to prove that what occupies these wombs are human beings, and that they are—
No, it's not. No person who is against abortion has ever successfully demonstrated that. If you think you can right now, go for it, and I'll change my mind. But since no one ever has, I doubt Subway employee John Doyle has the key. Big Booty Goth Queer with a bit. Did you see my candy for later? My phone is laggy, so I wasn't sure. I did not see the candy.
Are alive. And so that presupposes that human life has value, which is actually not—
You're presupposing it's a human life, which not everyone agrees with. That's not a solved matter, and there is no solution.
Something that the right and left agree upon anymore, which is why from there the left will get into arguments like, well, it's not enough to be a human being, it has to have personhood, as defined by whichever—
I don't think it's even a human being, but sure, if you want to move the goalposts there, then yeah, it has to have personhood, I guess, if that's where you're doing it. That would still be a philosophical conversation, just like human being, regardless of what you call it or where you move that goalpost. And again, even if you were to meet, like, it's a human being, you can't force a human being to sustain the life of another human being against their will. You just can't. It's not how things work. You can't literally, like, let's imagine if what John said was true, and if we applied this logic to everything in life. Imagine if one day, this is how the law works. Someone gets in a car accident and they have a similar blood type to you. The police knock on your door and arrest you because you have the same blood type, and they literally force you to have an operation to have an organ removed and forcibly donated to someone else. Is that right? Is it right for your bodily autonomy to be stripped away from you just because it saves the life of someone else? Or, as Americans, as human beings, do we value the fact that you have the right to decide what happens with your own body? That you cannot have something taken away from you for the benefit of someone else. You can't do that. Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. He's also presupposing that fetal life has higher value than the adult human carrying it. Oh yeah, and you know why? Because the fetus, whatever you want to call it, might be a boy. And John values the life of men higher than women. Protesters assembled outside of Jeff Bezos' DC home with a guillotine. Yeah, I've seen it. Either bring a real guillotine or I don't care. I'm sick of these, like, oh, look, we did a little, haha, we got a fake guillotine. Do you get it, Jeff? Haha, we got ya. Meanwhile, he's in there counting his $200 billion net worth. She's like, yeah, uh-huh. Call me when the real guillotine shows up. Thanks.
Arbitrary metric is most convenient at the time, be it sentience, viability, etc. Or, well, that doesn't matter because we have bodily autonomy, which means that we can do what we want regardless. My body, my choice. And so
yes, John, that's how that works. Do you disagree? Do you want people showing up at your door, stealing your organs because they could help someone else?
So again, the conflict is much less right versus left, pro-life versus pro-choice. It really just comes down to whether you believe that human life has unique value.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. I think human life has value. I really, really do. But that value does not apply to a zygote. It does not apply to a fetus to me. And if you disagree, that's fine. I'm not telling you to agree with me. I am telling you, however, that it's not your right to apply your morality to anyone else. This is not a black and white issue, period. You don't get to determine what's right for someone else in a situation like this. This isn't a murder where you can just say, this is wrong, all the time, always, no matter what. Because we're even debating the fact that this is a person or a human or a life. That's what's under debate here. You cannot say that you have the right answer when there isn't one.
Do you really think these women that march in Washington, screaming at the top of their lungs about how it's their right to abort their children if they want to go get a sociology degree, do you really think that the problem there is that they just don't recognize that they're killing innocent human life?
They don't, because they're not. John, why are you shitting on sociology degrees, by the way, you absolute asshole? You work at Subway! Sociology degree, writing papers and getting PhDs. Oh, no. Psh, psh, psh. What a waste of time. Oh, I'm sorry, would you like that toasted? Yes, John, I would like that toasted.
No, the problem is that they don't value innocent human life, especially if it interferes with or inconveniences their subjective desires. That's why the old arguments don't really work anymore. I mean, we used to be able to say things like, hey, you know, have you at least considered that if you're wrong, it would mean that you're advocating for the murder of children?
But they're not wrong, John. You haven't demonstrated they're wrong.
Because now, that's not even effective anymore.
Correct, because people recognize that's an awful, stupid argument.
Because it assumes that they'd agree that we're wrong, even if the mainstream narrative didn't support it, and it inconveniences their lifestyle. It gets
their lifestyle. What is up with people on the right? And this idea of lifestyle. This comes up with, like, gay people or lesbians or trans people, too. Like, oh, I disagree with your lifestyle. I thought you were in favor of liberty. Shouldn't everyone's lifestyle be okay with you? Seems pretty hypocritical, but alright.
It's back to whether we even agree that innocent human life has unique value.
You have to demonstrate it's human life, John. You haven't done so.
And again, that's just a conflict between good and evil.
I'm trying to imagine the warped worldview you have to have where John Doyle is the good guy. Absolutely bonkers.
Why are they looking at the car? That's my mom's boyfriend's car.
Antipodian Squid with 600 bits. I support the abortion lifestyle. Who doesn't?
We're driving a stolen car? Hello?
If you don't help us out, we're gonna be in
Oh, it's Gustavo Fring.
so much trouble.
I don't think that this is what you really want.
It's my life, it's my choice.
Grab on! Hold tight! Come on, 3! 1, 2! Trains go fast.
Politics aside, my most accurate take about this film is that it's not going to be funny, and it's going to be for the same...
I think it looks a little funny. I don't think it's going to be like the best movie of the year or anything, but it looks like a cute road trip dramedy. It'll probably have some sincere moments that talk about serious issues and what it's like to go through an unwanted pregnancy and get a termination and how difficult it can be in this country because of people continually eroding away Roe v. Wade. And it looks a little funny, like that the trains go fast joke made me laugh. It's not like it's coming out in theaters. It's a streaming service movie. It's on HBO Max, which I have. I'll probably watch it at some point. It looks alright.
Same reason that it's very difficult for women to be funny in general.
John! Good guy! Genius.
Because there are approved strains of female comedy. Female comedy is always about rejecting the perceived standards of morality and feminine behavior. It's not created, nor is it viewed to make the intended audience feel good in an amusing way or in a funny way, but rather to energize them through communicating to them that these women are rejecting those oppressive patriarchal standards and they're having fun while doing it. Look, they're on a roller coaster while pregnant? What? These wild and crazy girls aren't supposed to do that.
I don't think that's the joke, John. They happened to be on some rides, but that wasn't the funny part, you idiot. Holy shit, he's such an idiot! That's not the funny part, John. I didn't even think about that when I was watching it, because why would it matter? She's going to get an abortion. It doesn't matter.
That's why, generally speaking, female comedy is always like, I eat lots of food, I'm messy, I have sex with lots of men, I get pregnant and murder the children for sport. It's
the only comedy involving women John has ever seen is apparently Ghostbusters 2016.
There's nothing funny about the two.
Freaking Out 99 with a bit, oh god, he's doing the women aren't funny thing, yeah.
etc. And male comedy is generally, you know, actually funny. And of course there are...
Apparently you've never seen a Joe Rogan set, yikes.
There are exceptions to this, but the problem is that because those exceptions don't fit the approved narrative, they don't find as much mainstream success. But it's also interesting how...
I'm gonna just say this. Anyone who says women aren't funny should be forced to sit through every one of Jeff Dunham's comedy specials. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that under the Geneva Conventions, but I think it's only fair.
How the title cards mentioned that her life got off track and now she must forge her own path. And that's actually really deep when you think about it. Like, I wonder if the person who wrote that is pro-life. Maybe they're a fan of the show, because what that's saying is like, okay, you were perhaps behaving recklessly. You weren't ready to be a mother, but you were still actively having...
John, if you actually read the book, I didn't, but hey, someone in the chat did, and they pointed this out. They were being safe. The boyfriend assaulted her by poking holes in the condom. Kind of makes you look like a jackass, huh?
Sex with men who you presumably wouldn't want to father your children. This wasn't supposed to happen, but guess what? It did happen. And now you have a choice to make. You have to forge your destiny. You have to forge your own path. Are you going to take responsibility for your actions, or are you...
Again, acting as though carrying a child you don't want to term and then putting into an adoption system, which is already filled with children who aren't being taken care of, is somehow more responsible than terminating the pregnancy before it becomes a person with thoughts and feelings. Very strange. That's not responsible, John. That's the opposite of responsible. It's one of the reasons crime rates went down like 20 to 30 years after Roe v. Wade, because there are multiple factors that are going into this. Less lead poisoning, and also because there were fewer unwanted pregnancies. And it turns out, people who are unwanted pregnancies are unwanted children, and they wind up in subpar conditions, whether it's with the birth mother or in the foster care system. Then they get spit out with absolutely no future and turn to crime. Genius, John. Freaking Out 99. Taking responsibility for your actions equals dying in childbirth.
Going to run from them? Are you going to allow this child to live his or her life, or are you going to take that from them because you're a coward and because you're selfish? And this girl even says to the guy, who I think is actually the father of the child, well, it's my life and it's my choice. And we first have to ask her to check her privilege, because isn't she fortunate? Isn't she fortunate to have the power in the situation? Do you think she'd feel the same way if she were in the position of the child?
You know how she'd feel if she was in the position of the child, aka the zygote? She wouldn't feel anything, because she doesn't have a developed brain and therefore doesn't have thoughts, feelings, or a personality. Glad we could cover that one for you, John.
There's a great Reagan quote, which...
No. All you have to say is the words "great Reagan quote" all next to each other, and the answer's already no. There's no such thing as a great Reagan quote. He's literally a traitor to the United States. He sold weapons in order to fund the Contras. What a great guy. He made jokes about gay people during the AIDS epidemic because he thought it was God's will to kill homosexuals. He's a monster, John. I understand why you look up to him, because you'd love to have the power to kill as many gay people as you possibly could. But here we are, just a Subway employee. What a shame.
Which is, I've noticed that everyone who is pro-choice has already been born. And that's absolutely true. These are people who have been born. Their parents have made sacrifices.
Yes? Is that your argument? You can only be pro-choice if you're born. Okay, you can only be pro-life if you're born, too? You can only have any opinion if you've been born. That's how it works? Is that your gotcha? It's not a gotcha. I bet you if you asked a room full of Gen Z people or millennials, like, how many of you wish you were aborted? About half of the people will raise their hands up. So probably not a great gotcha.
Is to give them life, and they are unwilling to carry the torch.
You know why unborn zygotes don't have opinions? Because they don't have personalities or thoughts. They're literally not people, John.
For their own selfish reasons. So no, it's not actually your life, and it's not actually your choice, because you don't just get to do whatever you want simply by virtue of your being alive, and simply by virtue of your ability to do whatever you want, hypothetically.
Thank you, Baha.
And what an unfortunate reality this is. What an unfortunate time we live in, where people construct their livelihoods convincing young women that not only is motherhood unimportant, it's actually undesirable.
No one is telling women that motherhood is undesirable. Society says to people now, if you want to be a mother, that's great. If you want to be a father, that's great. If you want to stay at home and take care of your kids, coolio. If you want to go get a job, that's cool too. If you want to have no kids, awesome. Whatever you want to do. That's literally the point. It's the pursuit of happiness, John. Don't you give a shit about what those words mean? People have the right to choose what they want to do with their lives. If you want to be a stay-at-home mother, great. Society isn't telling you not to do that.
And they make money doing it. And we all become more miserable as a result, as our country deteriorates in front of us, as the greatest civilization in the history of the world slowly...
The greatest civilization in the history of the world. That seems very objective and not at all hyperbolic. Good job, John.
He dies as we have failed to carry the torch passed down by our ancestors because we're selfish and because we thought that we could ignore conventional...
John, do you think abortions didn't happen prior to Roe v. Wade? Or prior to America, for that matter? Abortions aren't new, bud. Hate to break it to you.
Wisdom. We thought that we could elevate evil and remain good. Okay, for the record, none of what I'm about to say is necessarily to make an argument against abortion. I'm more than capable of arguing against abortion in a completely secular framework, as I have...
Haven't seen it yet. It would have been an interesting thing for you to try and do, but hey, you know, it's your video.
I've done many times on this channel before, but I'm doing it. I'm going big time preacher mode now, so click away if you're not ready for this information yet. And if you stick around, you don't get to complain about, well, he's forcing his beliefs on us. Yeah, that's what I do, but you're...
Yeah, I'm not going to complain you're forcing your beliefs on people in this video, but if you're going to try and use religious principles to say that the law should tell people to do a certain thing, you're not allowed to do that. The Constitution literally says you can't do that, John.
Okay with it when it's about gun control, or when it's about climate change, but when it's about, I don't know, the truth of our existence, which requires you to be a good person, well, then you don't want to hear it.
No, you can't bring your religious beliefs into any laws, whether they be about abortion or something else. It's a big thing. Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. John Doyle, quote, I'm more than capable. Are you, though, of anything? Yeah, the Bible never says abortion is wrong, so he's about to do a lot of stretching.
But that's okay. I'm not really speaking to those people anyways. I'm speaking to those who recognize that we have incessantly dismissed the conflict between good and evil as merely a difference of opinion. And we have allowed our...
Because in this particular case, it is a difference of opinion. If you want to talk about good and evil, John, we can. It's a bit of an esoteric concept, but I don't think you're going to like the side I think you wind up on.
...ourselves to be seduced by those acting on behalf of evil when they tell us that this wonderful and benevolent country of ours was actually actually founded so that everything could be free to propagate, whether that be good or evil. And if we try to stop it, well, you're just enforcing your morality on me, and that's it.
Ask Compu with a bit. It's always good to stretch before some mental gymnastics.
Anti-American. And, you know, ignoring for now that the Founding Fathers would actually disagree with that if you read their actual writings and not just out of context quotes that go viral on Facebook, we have...
I don't necessarily agree with everything every Founding Father said, John. They had great Enlightenment ideas on certain things and certain ways to make the government function, but they were also wrong on a ton of stuff, and I know you're sick of hearing this, John, but you never seem to want to integrate it into your understanding, so I'll repeat it. Most of them were slave owners, so, like, their opinions on freedom and liberty are a little tainted, to say the least. So, well, they had tons of great ideas, and they were smart people. They were also pretty fucked up in a lot of ways, like every human being. They were complicated, so maybe take that into consideration before you act like the Founding Fathers are literally American Jesuses, and that their word should literally dictate everything we do. I'm not gonna let people who have been dead for 180 years dictate what we should do as a society. It's like, what would that even be? Necroc? Like a necros? What, necroscopy? Necroscopy. Like democracy, or like a theocracy, but with necro. You know, dead people ruling. Necrocracy. I find that really hard to say for some reason. Necrocracy. It's the crocracy that's getting me. Necrocracy. We don't live in a We don't live in a necrocracy, John. Dead people don't get to determine exactly how we should rule ourselves. Thank you. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that word.
Given the heart of our country to evil forces, and we are seeing the results of their work every day. And you and I really didn't have a say in it. And that makes us really angry. But you know who it makes even angrier?
We do have a say in things, though, John. You can do constitutional amendments.
Him. It makes him angrier. It's the same conflict as always. I mean, good and evil. It's impossible to talk about that conflict without talking about the big man, right?
I mean, it's entirely possible, John, and in the framework of when we're talking about the legality of something, you have to talk about it in a framework that does not include your God, because not everyone believes in Christianity. You have a First Amendment right to practice and believe your beliefs, and I respect that. I really do, believe it or not. But you don't have the right to enforce that on other people. That's pretty much it. Period. End of sentence.
Because we've taken everything that is good and righteous and pure and beautiful, and we have mocked it.
Everything that is right and pure, we have mocked it. And you want to go back and decide if any of that's hyperbolic, John. Are you happy with how that turned out? Okay.
That elevated everything that is evil and disgusting to the core of our society. Our culture has become an abomination. Abortion, materialism, greed, hedonism, gluttony, lust, convenience, endless entertainment. All of that has destroyed.
And people ask me, how is John a fascist? This one right here, fellas. And it's always fellas. This one right here. People who aren't fascists don't go on hyperbolic diatribes about how wicked and, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Degenerate. They don't go on diatribes about how degenerate society has become. That's what fascists do. This is not how normal people discuss issues.
There's nothing funny
distracted us from the most important truth of all, which
Stephen J. Neptune Man with 15 bits. I thought conservatives were supposed to be the rebel we're supposed to be the rebel badasses who want everything lewd and crude with boobs and butts, unlike those stuffy little snowflakes. Yeah, not him, though, I guess.
Which is that God will not be mocked. And you can roll your eyes, you can keep your...
God will not be mocked. John, I don't know how to tell you this, but my career started mocking God. And yeah, pretty cringe. I agree with you there. I was even younger than you when I started on YouTube, believe it or not. You're 21, I think I was 18 or something like that. So I have some pretty cringe stuff out there. That's edgy teenage atheist material. But, like, you can mock God. It happens all the time. Like, I get that offends you, and I'm sorry. Weird coming from someone like you who seems to not care about when anyone else gets offended. But the second that your deity comes under fire, you're like, God will not be mocked.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. Hannah and Jake come for the God mockery, stay for the God mockery, and more. True. Freaking Out 99 with a bit. We've been mocking God for years and nothing has happened. Well, actually, Harold Penisman happened. True. Got a chuddy video for you? Okay. I'll save it for later. Just because after this one, we're going to do Elliot Hulse, and then I'm probably going to call it a night.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Ask Compu with a bit. Oh, no, that was the same one.
Pride. Keep recycling to yourself the same tired George Carlin monologue or your favorite excerpt from the Richard Dawkins book, which you only read half of.
I'll have you know I read the whole thing, John. I read the whole thing.
That will matter because you will bow and you will confess. Just
what? How? Who's saying John's a fascist? You will bow. You will confess. That's the fascism. That's the fascism right there.
Like everyone else, and you will be humbled to learn that a life dedicated to the worship of the self does not make you more than the dust at his feet. And so when you're scratching your head trying to piece all this together, you're thinking, well, now why would people do this? What's the goal here? It would seem that the belief that God would refuse to end all that is beautiful through his creation if there were good people who may die. And so those who have been corrupted by satanic forces are working...
John, none of this argument makes any sense, because if God existed and it was the God of the Bible who was both omniscient and omnipotent, then when he created the universe, he would know that we would wind up in this exact situation. If there is a God that is both omnipotent and omniscient, then everything that happens in the universe is of his own design. So every abortion that has ever happened, if God existed, the Christian God, it would be by his will. Every miscarriage, and there's been way more miscarriages than there have been abortions. And those are all God. So, if what you're saying's true, John, why does God like to kill fetuses more than liberals? Is God a liberal, John? If so, I have a lot of apologies to make to the big girl upstairs.
To ensure that there are no good people left anymore, so he ends all creation, because since Satan is not nearly strong enough to corrupt or destroy God, he has to force God to destroy his own.
Hey, John, if God is all-powerful, why does he allow Satan to exist? It seems like kind of a cuck move, right? God getting cucked by Satan every day. God's like, you're all my children, and I love you all equally. And then Satan comes up and he's like, hey... why don't you be gay? Do the big gay. And everyone's like, that does sound pretty good. God's like, damn. Cucked by Satan again.
Own creation by corrupting it entirely, which is us, and all that was once good and beautiful. And if you think this sounds crazy, like I used to until a couple of years ago, you should just look outside. You should read more. There is no other explanation, and I refuse.
You should read more. There's no other explanation for what's happening in reality than what's in this 2,000-year-old book written by people in the desert that says there's an omnipotent sky daddy that's gonna punish us all. Alright. Little bit ISIS-y of you, but continue.
refuse to withhold this information because some people might get mad and not stick around for the next time I talk about why socialism equals bad. Because this is the root of our conflict and fundamentally.
Hey, John, did you miss the part where Jesus said, take all that you have and give it to the poor, and that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven? Sounds pretty socialist-y to me. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? No? None of that? Or is that just, like, liberal propaganda Jesus? He didn't say take a little bit of what you have and give it to the poor. He didn't say, you know, donate to Wikipedia once a year. Give some tithes at church. He said take all you have and give it to the poor. So your microphone, your weird laptop with all your stupid stickers, your little Jesus bobblehead, the rifle behind you, your poster that's an excuse to show a swastika in your videos without getting flagged. You should take all that to a pawn shop and sell it and then give the money to, like, a homeless shelter. Because, honestly, wouldn't that be what Jesus would want? Seems like that's what he wants, because he said take all you have and give it to the poor. And yeah, this life will suck for you, living on the street and, you know, just getting enough to get your next meal. But hey, this is temporary. This mortal shell is nothing but a cocoon, which you will be released from to your heavenly Father. And then you get to spend all of eternity doing whatever you think heaven's like. So, yeah, go do that. Or, you know, stop being a hypocrite. Whichever you want to do.
Essentially the root of all conflict. And only when you understand that can you begin to make sense of what's really going on in our world. Hey guys, if you like this video, leave it a thumbs up.
Remember when Jesus said, turn the other cheek? What he really meant by that was buy an assault rifle, and if you're afraid for your life, shoot someone in the back 7 times. Anyway, that's enough John. John's an absolute hypocritical fascist piece of trash. And here's the link again if you wanted to report the video for the trans comment he made, or anything else that you feel breaks the rules. Let's do Elliot Hulse on meditating, because he's back, and then we'll call it a night. I'm going to go after this. So Elliot Hulse has been MIA for a couple months. We used to do him all the time, but he just disappeared, but now he's back. So let's see what he has to say about meditating and why you should stop doing it.
Yo, it's your bro Elliot here, and I'm back with a brand new Q&A answering your questions from Instagram, and I got one from our bro York51. He goes on to say, yo Elliot, how do I meditate more consistently? It's one of the few things I have a hard time staying disciplined in. So thank you for your question, York. And the very first thing I want to lay out to you is the fact that I have upgraded, updated, revolutionized my mindset and practice as it relates to meditation over the past few years. And I got a lot of really cool things I want to share with you that I think will be very helpful for you in learning how to, number one, meditate without ceasing. I want to share that with you so you're no longer having to find time or to dedicate a day or an hour or whatever you were doing as a discipline in order to meditate, but to meditate without ceasing. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. But first I'm actually going to talk to you about something better than meditation. I've discovered that meditation is subpar compared to what I'm going to share with you here today. So I no longer even use the word meditation. I don't meditate. I don't suggest people meditate. I suggest this. Now, let me talk to you very quickly about how I discovered meditation and this higher form of meditation that I'm going to teach you. Number one, I started learning about meditation when I was early in my early 20s. I was starting to become an entrepreneur. I met a guy who told me, hey, you want to be a better entrepreneur? You got to get rid of the negative baggage in your brain, and meditation is going to help you be a better entrepreneur. You know, my whole MO was make more money. He was like, yeah, if you meditate, you'll make more money. And it was helpful. It was very helpful. He actually introduced me to a form of meditation using Holosync that I recommended people use for a long time. It does a great job of wiping the slate clean, right? Because that's what meditation does. And that's what he was suggesting. And that's what I achieved. It cleans the hard drive, right? It cleans out all the junk in your...
This is boring. I gotta find something good to end on. Here, we'll end on a MGTOW thing. This is Sandman, 3 Reasons to Get Married, LOL. MGTOW.
Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Thomas. He didn't send me a specific topic with his message, so I want to discuss one of the funniest titles I've seen on the MGTOW Reddit for quite some time, and it's called 3 Reasons to Get Married. I laughed out loud when I saw it because the title should have read 3,000 Reasons to Not Get Married, as opposed to only 3 reasons to do. Of course, I put a link to it in the description, and the person named Advanced Banter was of course being sarcastic with that title, because the 3 reasons he shared for a man wanting to get married was because he was either crazy, stupid, or badly misinformed, and that for most men they are badly misinformed. He says the reason he found MGTOW was because he wanted to find some advice from men that had already walked their future land whale down the aisle. He says that the MGTOW Reddit saved his life and it's saving thousands more. So because of that, you can certainly expect Reddit to eventually shut it down, because who doesn't love it when they see men suffer? But seriously, the reason that most guys get married is part...
The reason various, like, incel and MGTOW subreddits have been shut down is because they've advocated for awful things up to and including legalizing assault on women. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's one of the reasons that some of these incel MGTOW forums got shut down on Reddit. There were constant threads about, like, I just want to assault, and I'm using cleaned up language here. I just want to assault this woman. I should be allowed to do what I want, because these women aren't human anyway. These are the kind of things that they would say on these things. That's why they get banned.
Partially because they are badly misinformed, but also because the younger we are, the greater our interest in securing sex on a regular basis is, to keep us from going crazy and putting a bucket of ice on our balls. So it's not just that we're misinformed, that's the reason we get married, but also because we've got...
Any wedding that includes something like this, it just always makes me think, are the straights okay? What is with this, like, weird stereotype that, like, oh, the bride's forcing the groom to get married? Like, okay, if this is the thought you have going into your wedding, you shouldn't be getting married. This is why all boomer humor is like, I hate my wife, is because society pushed couples in the past to get into relationships and get into marriages way too soon, and it was basically a situation where, like, one or both of the people didn't want to get married. Real bad stuff.
A niche that can only be scratched by a bitch. So we walk down the aisle, and if by the time we turn 40 we're never married, then the odds of getting married after that point are roughly 1 in 15 or 20. Our big head wins and we go our own way. Someone in the comment section below the Reddit post also said that marriage is no different than someone trying to trick you into a massive student loan or home loan. An intelligent man would tell you no, but there's just as much propaganda out there trying to get you to put your name on the dotted line. I would argue...
Dude, no! If you want to get married, it's because you want to be in a relationship with someone for the rest of your life.
That there's more propaganda and peer pressure than anything the average and above average man has in his mind. I also remember in the mid-90s I was in university, and in the main building where you would go and register during your first week there were actually literally credit card companies handing out cards like candy. That's what guys thinking about getting married are thinking about, how they're going to have sex on tap. Meanwhile, the night of the wedding there's a meme going around on the internet with the bride giving amazing head. She's thinking to herself this...
Freaking out 99. Aren't MGTOWs also homophobic? I have no idea. Maybe. I'm sure some of them are.
This is the last time I'll ever have to do this. Well, at the same time, on the meme, there's a bubble over his head that says how he'll be getting this quality BJ for the rest of the marriage. I'll get to this in more in just a moment. But first, let me tell everyone about today's sponsor, the MGTOW Book Collection. Tim Patton has written 5 MGTOW books. MGTOW is Forever is the latest.
This is like my favorite thing ever, is this book cover. And I go over this every time we do one of his videos. but it's consistently hilarious to me. This is like some fake book cover that Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia would make. And like and maybe Dennis would be like, "Why is there a shirtless dude on the cover?" And and Mac would be like, I don't know, something along the lines of, "It's so you know how to be manly. It's for beefcakes." I don't know. Max Out is gay now, so I guess that doesn't apply, but you know what I'm talking about. Is that the Fortnite font? I have no idea. I don't know what the Fortnite font looks like.
And is a great introduction to MGTOW. If you've been injured on the job and need help, disabled and unable to work is for you. MGTOW Building Wealth and Power helps you empower your finances. Masculinity is Our Future is about how the world sees masculinity as toxic, and what it means to be a man. Finally, MGTOW Why I Cheat. When a woman named Marcia read this book, she wanted to scream.
Masculinity isn't seen as toxic. When people talk about toxic masculinity, they're talking about people who perpetuate certain toxic behaviors and use their masculinity as an excuse. Like telling men, you should hold your emotions in, don't cry, man up. That's advocating for a toxic behavior based upon masculinity. All masculinity is not inherently toxic. Cherry Tree Boy with 8 bits, why does he talk like that? I feel like I'm gonna uncontrollably punch something. I have no idea. Do you want me to talk like this all the time, guys? Isn't this how I should talk for the videos when I talk about stuff? Doesn't it make it seem like I really know what I'm talking about?
Scream out loud, why is MGTOW a real thing? Thanks for pushing your buttons, Tim. All 5 books can be found at the sponsor link down below. Anyways, now back to the video. Obviously there are good reasons to get married, but society took those away from men in the last half-century. To have a woman to love that won't leave you. To have children that can't be taken away from you, and get sex on a regular basis that makes you a part of society. Another fellow...
Having sex does not make you part of society. Or is that why the Joker has Harley Quinn around, so he can still say we live in a society, but he has to bone Harley first for that to...
In the comment section says that MGTOW men don't care about society falling apart, because society never cared about them in the first place. To some extent, that's both true and not true. Society used to care that every man got a bride if he wanted her, and he got her young. And he got to keep her, and so he cared about society because society cared about him. But today's society doesn't care about men, so men have stopped caring about it too.
Okay, so your bar for society caring about men is creating a situation where women have to marry older men. No, that's gross. You don't get to force people into relationships with older men because it's their only way to provide for themselves or to, like, function within society.
Women probably still believe that the reason men get married in the first place is because of sex and love. So they carry on their behaviors thinking they're irresistible. They don't seem to understand that men's desire to be enfranchised in the system through a woman they marry and stay with for life is all that powerful. After all, most women try and monkey branch, so they probably assume that guys are up for doing the same thing, if they could. Especially since they hear guys say they like sexual variety by looking at adult content, for example. So they think if guys are looking for variety of women, then guys are more likely to sleep with a variety of women too. Yes, the more desirable guys that have been playing the field and have a hard time falling in love and bonding anymore certainly can be like that. But I believe the majority of guys never go through enough relationships in their lives.
What is this antiquated idea that if you have more sexual partners, you're less able to form connections with people? That's not the case.
Where falling in love becomes an impossible thing to do.
Okay.
In the past, men were...
I can't deal with this guy anymore. We're gonna cut it short. I'm sorry, guys. So we started later today. I apologize for that. We had to go to the vet. Tomorrow I'll be back at the normal time around 4 or 4:30 to do Sovereign Citizen Saturday.
There's nothing funny about the tools.
You have a cleanse real quick? Okay, we can do that before we call it a night. Is this like based on the guy we were just watching who's called Mr.
Sandman? Man me a sand. Make him the cutest man corridor who can. Give him 2 cents like Sanses and Hanses. Then tell him that his sands and mans are Hanses. Sandman, Sanso a man. Don't have no Sanses to sand a man. Please turn on your sandy hands, Mr. Mr. Sandman, send me a man. Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman, man me a sand, make him the cutest man card.
Okay. What's Bad Bunny doing? Let me see if it's something we can...
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
After this ad, we'll raid. Then I'll call it a night. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be back for Sovereign Citizen Saturday. I appreciate it.
I swear to God. Okay. I've been wrong about things, so I don't want to say anyone for sure, but I'm going to say that almost for sure anyone with beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, I feel very confident in saying that if you're sensitive over this, this is absurd. You're making fun of... Okay, to explain the joke, just discover communism will get rid of private property. I hope this wouldn't affect black business owners. The idea that the right and liberals in general as well will scapegoat anything that's progressive and...
Alright, so thanks everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for coming to the stream. Sorry I was a little later today. I hope I'll see you guys tomorrow for Sovereign Citizen Saturday. Hope you're doing well. Have a good weekend, everyone. Chat is valid. Have a good night. Love you all.